Don't tell me how to do it. It sickens me.
Yeah.
But did Tevin quit? I look up and he's just gone. Oh, there he is.
Sorry.
Why were you showing me your armpit?
I
I'm
may
looking at
have.
the screen as his armpits like this. Like, what the hell are you doing?
I may have done something.
Brittany's an asshole.
Oh, Brittany did it?
Yes.
What happened?
So the intro music starts playing. We're all ready to go, and she's talking about how good she looks in the light here. And she goes, "I look great. You look worse, but I look great." So I'm like, "Well, thanks for that."
You look washed out and like a little sick.
That's what you want to say to a black man: is you look washed out.
Like,
I thought the lighting worked for me. I don't know if it works for you. Maybe we have to do every other day. Don't worry, I'll be back in my closet tomorrow.
You look very pale, actually. Brittany, on my end, you look very pale.
But less like extreme white last time.
Honky.
Last time I was powder.
Powder, that's exactly right. All right. I got to run something by you guys because, I try to make it very, very clear to people. But, the problem is if you're not locked into one side or the other, that neither side likes you and you put up with all that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Because I favor some things on the left and I favor some things on the right, which apparently is against the law now. You got to either be all in or we hate you. I mean, that's just how it is. But I got to ask you a question. Whether it's far right, far left, or whatever in this situation, I do not understand why Americans are standing by allowing people to vacate our schools to shelter illegal immigrants. And they call them migrants, I know, but they're here illegally. I'm sorry. Not according to the people in the White House. They think it's all great. But here's my problem. Because now we've gotten to I've stood by and been kind of silent about the whole thing because you don't want to see any human being suffer, but a lot of this is not about that. I just don't understand how you can tell our children you can't come to school today because we have to make sure that the people who are going to vote for us are safe. That's all this is about. This is the only reason they're kissing their ass like that is so they'll vote for them.
Yeah.
You're rigging an election and you're showing our children in school how to rig an election. Is that a good idea?
No, it's
Why
not.
are we doing this?
I don't know. I just feel like there's such I get so bummed at the lack of control that any of us have over any of this. And
I agree.
It takes me to a place of, I don't know.
Well, we got to know. We got to wake up and stop letting these people ruin our lives because they are going to destroy our lives if we let them do it. They're a bunch of greed-soaked, selfish pigs. That's what they are. Yeah. I try to watch some of these, speeches and this and that, and I go, "You're lying your ass off, whatever." Yeah. And then, "Oh, you suck." No, you suck more than I suck. What kind of image is that for our young teens and our children?
It's embarrassing.
Why isn't anybody standing up on a national stage saying, "Look, this has got to stop. We cannot let you kick our kids out of school, put them in there." And I don't want them getting wet, of course, because it never rains in Mexico, apparently. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I understand. Why didn't you go to, instead of vacating a school, why didn't you put them up in the Target Center or something? There's nobody there most of the day, is there?
Yeah, great point. Especially those floors they emptied.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I'm not even pissed off about this stuff anymore. I cannot believe we're that stupid that we're letting these scummy human beings known as politicians ruin our lives just so they can make more money. Isn't that disgusting?
Yeah, and it is weird that they chose a school to house the migrants. Like, there's got to be how many skyscrapers in New York? I'm assuming maybe one or two office buildings might not be completely filled with hardworking employees.
Right.
So we have, do a makeshift shelter there. I'm sure there's some old hotel that's in the process of being, getting ready to be torn down or whatever else. There's got to be options other than interrupting the education of the youth.
No, that's a great point. And by the way, I'm going to call Joe Biden later on today and go, "Hey, Joe, by the way, if you want a bunch of people to be safe so they can vote for you, so you can basically rig an election, we'll put them up in the old Target building because there's nobody in there anymore. So if you need to put them up somewhere, we'll put them up in the old Target building. What is that, like 15 floors, something like that?"
Yeah, something like that. Or even like when hurricanes, go through the South and they'll take people and move them to, a safer area. They'll put them in a football stadium or a, basketball arena. I'm sure there's an arena somewhere where you can say, hey, this team, you're going to now play all of your home games over, across the street at a different stadium because we're going to house these people. Like there's workarounds that make more sense than that.
Yeah, I don't want anybody suffering or getting, little children being rained on and scared because they're outdoors. But you don't vacate your school to put people in there. You've made it so obvious you're trying to rig the election that and these are the same. Look, I don't like it when either side does this kind of thing. That's why I tend to be a centrist. Yes, I'm right on some things. I'm left on other things. And that's caused me in Minnesota is a lot of misery because I don't agree with anybody, basically. Because it's either way left or way right, and that's just how it is. It's like, no, most of us are in the middle, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I think that's the problem, right? Like, the middle doesn't make any money for them.
Well, exactly, because they're much harder to buy their vote, I suppose.
Yeah,
I would imagine that's what it is.
They want lines drawn in the sand and divisiveness, and that's how they make money. So. But
it's so hurtful what they're doing to our children. You should not be doing that to it. You're basically telling our kids you're not as important as people who got here illegally. That's basically what they're telling the children.
Or just in general, you don't matter. You don't matter.
It kind of says, kids, you don't matter. We got important things to do, like rigging an election here. And I'm saying, look, both sides do it. I'm not just pointing out. In this case, it's the left, the far left. But the far right has done some of the same shady bullshit, too. And I'm not even mad about it. I'm just going, it's so obvious now what you scumbags are doing that you got to comment on it. You do what you do. And again, I know that the newspapers and a lot of the TV stations got me painted as a far right psychopath. And oh, my God. Wow. My mother was a hardline Democrat. I adored my mother. My sister also. My sister Bobby's very, very far left. There's no question. I love my sister, but I have friends also. I don't really have friends on the far left, I guess. I'm leaning, hard left. Yes. But I don't mind. I pointed out yesterday, most of my friends lean left, and some of them more than just a little. I have no problem with that at all. Why do they have such a problem with the fact that I won't move off the middle toward one party or the other? They have a huge problem with that. And I don't get that. Do you understand that? Maybe it's time to grow up. What do you think?
What?
What? We can't grow up. Grow up.
Fine, I'll grow up.
Honest to God, it's unbelievable. But again, here's our every day now. Every day, the first story is shooter named. It's like, Jesus, every day?
A lot.
This one's up in Cloquet, apparently. Homicides as cops seek a motive why this person did it. Well, here you go, though. 3 ideas for using Minnesota State Park's winter-free day. So that's good.
Nice. That's
some good news for you right there. But I'll vote for that. You've got my vote. Start reviewing. Right? And I don't like it either when I tune into the, let's say Fox in this case, because I think there's Fox and One America News are the only conservative ones, and then you got a bunch of liberal ones on the other side. Or progressive. Liberal's not a word anymore. It's progressive, right?
Like the soup?
Yeah.
Oh, I like progressive. Now we're talking. But anyway, again, I am not upset about this. It's just I am shocked that you've gotten so obvious that you're trying to rig the election. And nobody cares. Will I die if they keep getting elected? No. I'll still live my life and all the rest of it. But this whole thing with these people attacking each other on the national news. Oh, the left sucks. Oh, the right sucks. Oh, my God. It's basically become all-star wrestling.
Yeah.
Hasn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Unfortunate. Judd, we don't have any room for you on the show today, so we're going to put you on Jo Souchere's show because we can't let these people wait outside. We're going to have a migrant on in your place instead, okay?
Souche will be thrilled to talk sports.
I love Souche, though, man. Jo Souchere and I were going at each other way like 1986, 87, 88, going after each other on the air. And now I just think the guy, a great guy. He's a very smart man. You guys all know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell him I said this, by the way. Don't even bring it up.
No, my lips are sealed.
But yeah, he and I've got Royce still leans a little away from Uncle Tommy. He doesn't like coming near me too much, but that's cool. Whatever.
I think he said that. I think he told me that there was a time where you guys were actually golfing buddies, right? Didn't you and Royce golf together a few times?
I don't know if you'd call it golf necessarily. What we were doing.
You hit a small white ball,
Yes.
is what I heard.
That's exactly right. No, look, let me be very honest, and this is something that most people wouldn't do. Even if it's not like Royce and I don't get along. We just don't go around each other anymore. I haven't seen him in person in years. He came to my house several times when I lived out in Dayton, and very pleasant and all the rest of it. But I've mentioned this before on the old Q show that Royce is a brilliant writer. I hope people understand. Well, first of all, the writers in Minnesota tend to be very, very good. Do Minnesotans know that?
I don't know about that. That's a good question. I don't know, but yeah, because you're right. Such is great too. And when he wrote at the Old Tribune, was a sports columnist, fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a situation, and this is my opinion, 100%. I understand that, but you're living in a state which is, well, politically, it's a psychopath heaven. People in Minnesota are nuts about politics. I don't know how that ever happened, but I hope you understand we have some of the best writers in America. We have some of the best news reporters on television in America, some of the greatest radio stations in America. Do people not realize how good Minnesota really is in the media business?
That's a very good question. I think the current climate towards those of us in this business might not be as positive as it once was.
Because it's too opinionated? Is that what it is?
Yeah, too opinionated, and I think we get blamed for a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's a good point. It's a very good point. I mean, hell, Glenn Taylor, what he's done with the Star Tribune, keeping it not only afloat but vibrant. Mm-hmm. Like when you look at what's happened, one of the saddest things I think from media perspective is what's happened to some of the great heritage newspapers.
Yes,
Chicago Tribune, Los Angeles Times. I mean, hell, going back to my youth, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch was a great paper. The Des Moines Register was a really good paper. And those papers are all now, just shells of what they once were. And the Star Tribune actually still has a ton of space and looks really good.
I would agree with that. And is that a Minnesota thing, Judd? Because I travel around a lot. I travel several times a week, and some weeks, some I don't travel at all. But as I go around, you don't see newspaper boxes anywhere anymore. They're just gone. Mm-hmm. I suppose, subscriptions obviously the way they want to go anyway. But yeah, those old newspaper boxes, man, they were great when you were flying, go to the airport. You just go buy about 75 newspaper boxes on your way to the airplane. I
love that. That was actually, when I was covering the Vikings and traveling, that was one of my favorite things to do was to buy, first thing that you would do when you touched down was buy a paper or a couple of papers from that town. But I mean, they've just been so stripped down by these, by how things have gone. And it's really, really sad because, I mean, the Chicago Tribune still exists. It's just not, I mean, it once was one of the great papers in the entire country.
Right. I mean, brilliant writers. We talked about Joe Souchere and Patrick Royce, and we could go down many, many other names of local people, sports people, news reporters, all the rest of it. I do hope that Minnesotans do understand we have some of the best reporting. Now, it got too political again because the ownership or whatever liked one party or another. I really wish, I think, to tell you the truth, our local news people on Channel 5, 4, are really, really good. 9 and 11, I don't know because I don't watch them because they're not exactly huge fans of mine either. So we just kind of go, why don't you wait over there? You go over there. And I'll watch Channel 4 and 5. But again, there's a big Sicilian over on Channel 4. He's a good buddy of mine, so what am I going to say? I don't watch him? Of course I watch him. He's a friend of mine.
Right.
I mean, same with Channel 5. I don't like Chris Eggert, but I do it anyway. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, he's tough to deal with. That's the problem, Chris. I mean, he's high maintenance.
It's true.
Bad mood a lot of times. It's really incredible.
And I'll close with this, because the national news now is so incredibly negative. I would like to point these things out. It's a wonderful place to live. Most of the people let's say 51% of the people are really decent people, and some are flaming assholes. There's no doubt about that. But our newspapers have been good. They've gotten too political for me, but, they lean one way, unfortunately. Our local news reporting is fantastic, both the anchors and the reporters. A lot of great stuff going on in Minnesota. Do you think Minnesotans understand how good it is?
Probably not fully, because there's not a reference point, right?
Right.
Like you're here, and so you just assume that it's like this in the rest of the country. My guess is no, but I don't know that I completely blame them, because to your point, they don't travel. If you travel, you sort of see that.
Yeah.
The disintegration, of like newspapers in different cities and things like that. So my guess is no, but I don't know that I completely would point the finger at them and say that it's their fault.
No, I understand. And we'll close with this. I think what we should do is kind of what they did yesterday with the high school kids, only in reverse, that if either on the right or the left you get too far, we're going to put you in prison for a while just so you can settle down, right? You should get a jail sentence if you get too nuts. Be more accepting and more giving and more loving, because you're massive pains in the ass when it comes to politics. Both of you, far right and far left, right?
I think the crowding problem in jails would cause a problem here, Tom. I think you have a lot of people. I think you have to build new jails.
Oh, more jobs.
Jobs creation, Brittany.
Good point.
Creating jobs. That's all we're doing here on the morning show, is creating jobs. And that's what we're going to continue to do forever. And that's all there is to it. In any case, I don't know if I would care to get on an airplane and fly and then get off the airplane and play basketball. That cannot be too easy, I wouldn't think. So what happened yesterday, correct?
Yeah. Well, and the Timberwolves, unfortunately, because the assumption, because they not only got on the airplane in Orlando and flew to Boston, but they also sat Gobert and Mike Conley, two of their key players, and they almost won the damn game. They blew it at the end.
Yeah.
That's the incredible thing. They almost won. Now, you do have to keep in mind, though, you are flying like in a, charter jet.
Right.
So you could probably sleep pretty well there. And then you're going to a 5-star hotel to prepare. So it's not like the normal schlep who's, sitting in coach and then going to the, take your pick, Motel 6 or Super 8 or something. So it's a pretty good lifestyle. But yeah, that would be a long day. I will say that. But they damn near won.
They did. You're absolutely. And I pointed this out by coincidence just yesterday, that I was once called to do a bunch of commercials for Miller Beer in Milwaukee when I was in Palm Springs. And there are no direct flights from Palm Springs to Milwaukee. I will tell you that, at least there weren't. So I had to go to Los Angeles, get on an airplane, fly to Milwaukee, do the commercials, fly back to Los Angeles, get back over to Palm Springs, and attend the morning meeting of Capitol Records. So I've been through that before. It is very tiring. Now, Orlando to Boston's not as far as that, but it's far enough, I think.
Right. Yeah, and I think the problem was too, they're supposed to fly out after the game against the Magic a couple nights ago, but they couldn't because of the weather. So that would be my one question is, did they get off on time? Now it sounds like the East was getting socked pretty good with the storm. So.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. The weather all over America has been unbelievable. And is this all really El Nino? Is that true?
Oh, I have no clue.
I
mean, I've seen those stories. I don't know what's what now.
I don't either, but it's unfortunate. The Timberwolves, though, have gotten much, much better. It was very sad to watch a guy who just kicked everybody's ass in college football forever has decided to retire. Nick Saban, I've always admired that guy. I met him once briefly for about, 2-3 minute talk. Very reserved guy, but a very nice guy. And man, has there ever been a better college coach?
He's among the top 5 all time. Yep. You got your Bear Bryants, you've got, that old school list. But, and did you see the news this morning that the Patriots and Bill Belichick are parting ways?
Yeah. And this is after, Seattle and Carroll now are no more. So yeah, there's a lot of long, and the Titans fired Vrabel, which kind of seems like that came out of left field, right? Outside looking in. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of tenured coaches and successful coaches that are either retiring or moving on to new ventures.
God, that is sad though. The no Nick Saban's going to be tough because man, I loved watching that guy. No question about it. College football still, to me, although I think you pointed out yesterday, good luck to the Gophers when they rearrange that conference, because, man, is that a tough conference now.
Well, and it's going to have what, 18, 20, I mean, and they're going, and it's going to be, at least for the time being now, it's going to be one conference. They're not going to break it up into divisions for now. So the Gophers are going to get lost in that shuffle.
I got a smart ass email from a listener just now that said, Tom, why don't you tell the whole story and tell the truth what happened? It wasn't just the fact that it went from Orlando to Boston. In mid-flight, the door flew off, just like it did on Alaska Airlines. So that's the reason they lost the game, because the door fell off the airplane.
Well, how about that? How about that story? The door flying.
No.
How did no one die?
That's crazy.
I agree. How the hell did no one get sucked out of the airplane?
So from what I heard was because they were still at an altitude where everybody had to have their seatbelts on. So and I've never been on an airplane where there's been a hole in the side of it, but from what I've been told is there's an initial like suction thing that where if you were standing up, you'd probably get taken out. But after that, then the pressure is equalized. So there's no more like wind or not wind, but no more like pressure to pull you.
Yeah, suction. I will tell you what, you do know, luckily, there was nobody sitting in that row.
Yeah.
That's a stroke of luck there, baby, because I don't care if you had a seatbelt or not, you probably would have gotten sucked out of that airplane if you were sitting right next to it.
Well, that's why you got to put your phone in airplane mode, because otherwise stuff like that happens.
Exactly. You don't have to do that anymore, do you? You don't have to put your unless you're taking off and landing, you do not have to have your phone in airplane mode anymore, do you?
No. Well, I mean, now they offer Wi-Fi and stuff. So it's like, seems like the biggest scam ever.
I kind of miss something about being very unavailable to people is rare now. I kind of miss that opportunity to be very unavailable.
Yeah. Brittany, you're 100% right. You can't hide anymore. That is the problem.
No.
It's unfortunate, sad, but true. Yeah, it's impossible to hide now because, first of all, if you don't answer your phone, I'm going to go check all the cameras on the light posts and see what the video says. Honest to God, you're on video constantly. Yeah. You're available constantly. It's a whole different world. You're right. You are correct. So what do we got? Any news at all about, because it's, January 11th. We're about a month away from spring training. So what are the big moves the Twins are making? Because they're my favorite team in town.
Oh, let me check my notes. Oh, nothing.
Nothing.
That would be the moves they're making. Yeah, they have done nothing. Now they're claiming that, ordinarily it's late January where we do things. And so, don't be surprised. But it's been, as far as the hot stove goes, Tom, the hot stove has been turned off.
That is a wonderful situation, honest to God. I just, I'm sorry to bring this up again, but my new screen, Andy came over and completely redid Studio A, which I don't know where the hell. I guess Catherine's a lot smarter than I thought she was, because Andy didn't get his intelligence from me. I can promise you that. It didn't come from there, but that boy is smart. And it's not just because he's my son. He put this whole thing together. It was unbelievable. Nice. I mean, he just did it last night. They get it this morning. Talked to AJ. AJ goes, hit the plus. I hit the plus. We're good to go. Everything's great. I mean, it's wonderful. And you guys look, I would say a 14-year-old screen. It was. My screen, until yesterday, was 14 years old. You guys looked a little muddled when I looked at you toward the end.
You're telling us we look good?
That's what I'm saying. 4 good lookers right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Cheers to that.
A 14-year-old screen worked. I'm amazed by that.
I know. And by the way, the computer itself was 14 years old too. But I suppose if I only used it a month or so, a year, until just a few years ago, until 5 years ago, I suppose it didn't really get used very much. So it held on for a longer time, I guess. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does give me like a little bit of job security, because I feel like with the new system, you're going to at least want to do the show for another week. And that's all I really care
about. A week should do it. There's no question about it. Actually, I talked to Bernie Lauer last night for quite some time. We're just kind of working things out, moving toward 2024 and a new year for the whole situation. Because remember, this show didn't start until basically March 1st last year. So we only had a 10-month run, and it had a great 10-month run. And we have a great start to 2024 as well. But, I'm not trying to suck up or anything. It's this the thing. It's so hard for me to do this. But I really like the people at Hubbard. I wish I could meet one person in management that I didn't like. I go, except for that one son of a bitch. I hate him.
I bet I could find one.
Could you?
Brittany will keep looking for you.
I'll keep an eye out.
Give me an example.
They're really nice there. I think too, you're in such a good mood because Ethan's there. I feel like
Oh
this
God,
in
yes.
such a great mood because you had a little toddler destroying your house.
Oh yeah, and it's hat. So I put a hat on. Different. I put another hat on. Different. He will not let go of my hand. He holds on. Well, you saw him. He came in studio yesterday.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was during this show or during the family show, but no, it was. I think it was this show. He came on and sat in my lap. That kid is such a loving kid. It's just, and I got to be nice to him because he's almost about half my size and he's 2.
Yeah.
And it's a big kid. Anyway, getting back to what we were talking about here, I just, is there anything? Oh, Jesus, you got to get going. I'm sorry, pal. We held you a little too long there.
Oh, that's okay. No, there's really nothing good because while the Wolves blew their game, the Wild got absolutely smoked 7-2 in Dallas last night. So there's really nothing. I didn't come on here with a positive agenda of sports discussion. So.
Shocking.
How about
this? I know.
I finally get to say this after I met him in 1975. So we're almost 49 years. I can finally say live on the air, that damn John Hines. It's a different John Hines, but what's the difference?
Feels good.
Same name. Yeah, exactly right.
I talked to John the other day because he's a big time, big shot TV guy now.
Yeah.
Oh, look at John Hines.
Oh, you think you're better than us?
I love John too. Like I said, I've known him for 49 years. And the John Hines spells his Hynes, doesn't he? Our coach?
Yes.
I thought so, yeah.
He does.
So I'll make it clear whether I'm talking about the I Hines or the Y Hines. It makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, no question, because one's having success right now and one's not.
Well, that's a very good way to
The I Hines is having far more success than the Y Hines these days.
But just a lovely man. John Hines, the radio guy, what a great guy, good voiceover guy, the whole deal. I know this is hard to believe, but he has a new girlfriend. Gee, John, you have a new girlfriend? When did that? That's never happened before. What are you talking about?
John Hines leaves him for the rest of us. Am I right?
Exactly, Brittany. Right on the money. That's all I'm saying. Judd, we will talk to you again on, we won't talk to you Monday because it's Martin Luther King Day.
No, you'll talk to me on Tuesday.
Oh, you're gonna come on Tuesday instead? So you're gonna.
Well, Phil's on Mondays. Phil's on Fridays and
that's
Mondays.
Right. Monday and Friday. What the hell am I talking about?
No, I'll be back for my regularly scheduled appearance on Tuesdays.
You know what's weird is I literally thought it was Friday today. That's why I just said that. It's like no, but Phil's on Friday. Am I begging for the weekend? Is that what I'm doing?
I mean, we could pretend it's Friday.
Right. Hey, I'll see you on Tuesday. We can do that deal. Judd, great work with you, pal, and we will talk to you again.
Awesome.
Tuesday.
Talk to you then. Bye.
Thanks, pal. We'll take a break. Be right back in a couple of seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Great stuff coming up. A lot of great guests booked, by the way. Tip of the cap, because I know when they don't get booked, they say, hey, you didn't book any guests. So I want to say 3 guests in a row, I think, booked really good guests. No question about it. 2 coming up today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is one of them John Hines?
No, but one of them is your boy Mick Sterling for the Family Hour.
Oh, is he coming up too? I didn't see him.
Yeah.
Is he coming on today?
Yeah, he's technically on at 11 for the Family Hour, so it's not on the morning portion of it. But
he's on the family deal. Okay. Well, no, he's just a great guy. He and Doug Sprinthal are really good friends too.
Yeah.
Nice people. Okay. We'll take a break. Be right back. Continue right after this. You know the song Kokomo is supposed to be off the Florida Keys, right? Well, I hate to break your Beach Boys bubble, but that's a fictitious place they made up for the song. Fortunately for the rest of us, the Florida Keys island chain are as real as the taxes you have to pay in Minnesota if you're a resident. Now, that's the reason to move south. In addition to Florida and all of Monroe County being beautiful, which it is, the Keys from Key Largo to Key West are even more beautiful. This is Tom Barnard, part-time Florida resident myself. And if you want a second house or a new, like a retirement home, let's say, or want to become a Floridian, may I suggest you contact Matt Carlson from One Key West Realty. Matt grew up in Litchfield. He's a super real estate agent. When it comes to finding your tropical island space in the Keys, he lives there and here. And Matt knows what's best in Key West to buy for your second home in Florida. Matt teamed up with fellow Minnesotan from Sartell and Alexandria, Kristyn Eklund, I love Kristyn. She's great. Who's one of the top mortgage brokers in the country from Coast to Coast Mortgage. She'll get you the financing you need to buy a home in Florida or in Minnesota. Matt's part of the Lake Sotheby's International Realty Group here in Minnesota. And Kristyn, his mortgage colleague, lives and works in the Keys, so they both know the Florida Keys' new and existing homes for sale and are Minnesotan through and through. Contact them by heading to onekeywest.com. That is onekeywest.com.
Is that text you're sending so important that you missed your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw and Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
Magnificent. Just talked to Michael Bryant yesterday, as a matter of fact. You know what you do, you need to know a guy. For your auto repairs, legal issues, banking, and more. The same goes for investment advice. You need a guy to help you be successful, someone you can trust who gets results. Well, I got a guy for you, Josh Arnold. Josh gives you straight talk, not sugar-coated advice about your financial situation. Josh has seen it all when it comes to economic and market conditions. And Josh can make sure that your retirement objectives match your investments. Do yourself a favor and call Josh now for a no-obligation 48-minute evaluation. You got nothing to lose, and you'll get a different point of view for your investments. Call Josh at 952-925-5608. That's 952-925-5608. You'll be glad you did. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice. I'm Tom Barnard, and I'm a paid endorser. Ladies and gentlemen, Channel 5's Chris Eggert is brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation, 952-925-5608. Chris Eggert, ladies and gentlemen. What are you, a stealthy robber now? You're all dressed in black so you can sneak in and rob people and then leave?
I am a stealthy robber, and there's nothing that says stealth like a 50-year-old one-legged man.
We see you, Chris. You're not going to get by us today.
I mean, I can't walk down the hall without clicking or clanking, or there's some kind of noise, or
you're just pulling like a Pink Panther type heist as you're, climbing through laser wires to get expensive paintings.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, Chris, I have to warn you up front. You have to be really, really nice to Brittany today because she got her Marilyn Monroe lighting now, so she's all impressed with her own looks.
You do look very lit up over there, Brittany.
Yeah, she's always lit up.
Thank you. You know what? I feel like I look like a model today, and the lighting has really helped me, but it's really hurt Tevin. So we try not to bring it up too much. This is lighting for me, and Tevin doesn't look as good at it, but he's sacrificing just for today. I'll be back in my closet, my terribly lit closet tomorrow.
Perfect.
Listen, Tevin's a handsome man. He looked good no matter what the lighting is.
Well, that is true. Like me out of 10 and him out of 5, he's still hotter than me.
Okay, let's all calm down.
You think that's probably true?
Yeah.
I'm just looking up at the screen right now. I just don't fit in. I mean, look at all you stunningly handsome and beautiful people. And then I'm up there in the middle, kind of just, I'm the cab driver, apparently, because I'm, up there in the center. I'm driving the cab for all you.
I think you look very handsome, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Nice
if all
try.
the cab drivers listening right now, you're handsome too.
Yes.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're fine as hell, and you know it.
Yeah.
That I'm going to pass it along to a couple of, Doug Sprinthal used to be a cab driver.
Okay, maybe not all of them. Though.
Okay, yeah.
Mike Gelfand was a cab driver. Did
All
you
right.
know that?
Probably not all of them.
I would love to have Gelfand as a kid.
Yeah, can you imagine him sitting up in the front seat the whole time? It would be fantastic.
You get in a taxi. What do you want?
Right.
That's pretty much what would happen. We're not making that up, ladies and gentlemen. That is what would happen.
That's pretty
Gelfand
awesome.
is a cab driver. I don't know what the hell ever. So Mr. Eggert, what's going on? And I mean, one thing I got to be honest with you is every day, and I know they have to report it in print, Star Tribune and the National News. Every day, it's who murdered who now. Every day, it's not just a couple times a week.
Unfortunately, there has been a lot of that going on. I would say on the cab driver front, that's actually in the news today, because a bunch of the rideshare drivers out at the airport are mad because apparently the airport kind of redid their area where they stage.
Right.
But they've given them sounds like a honey bucket or a porta potty type situation out there, and some of the drivers are complaining they got to go to they got to be out there for hours waiting for people sometimes, and they're bathroom facilities are bad. They're also asking for a facility to do prayer, and they're going to start doing these informational strikes, I think once a week, where they're basically going to all turn their apps off and sit out there and protest. So that gets underway today for the first time. So,
yeah. Why did they keep changing where they go and because back in the day, there was a cab area, and I know that there is now, but it's, if you want to do this, you got to go here. You want to do that, you got to go there. I don't know.
Well, it's the rise of the Ubers and the Lyfts and whatnot.
That's true. Yeah.
Before there was a taxi area, and that was how it is. And I think I told you guys this before, but every time I hear a taxi story, I'm reminded of this. A friend of mine used to know some stuff about the taxi driver biz. And when one taxi driver would wrong another taxi driver and things got really heated between them, sometimes one would come and shiv the dude in the ass.
What?
So he couldn't sit.
Ow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So you got stabbed in the butt so you can't sit down.
Yeah, you just jam him in the ass and then or butt. And then the guy can't. So if you can't sit, you can't work, right? That's your livelihood.
It's also my livelihood too.
Okay.
You better look out that somebody doesn't shiv you in the ass, Brittany.
Yeah, it's heaven with this lighting situation.
I will not be shivving Brittany in the ass.
Thank you.
Oh my God, what a conversation we've got. Thanks a lot, Mr. Eggert. Yeah. We'll talk to you in a month or so.
I can't hear anything about cabbies without thinking about that. I'm like, oh my God, was it that cutthroat of a thing? But anyway.
That's also hilariously clever because, I could, slash your tires, mess with your car so it doesn't run. No, I'm going to one up you. I'm going to, stab you in the ass. So now you can't sit down. You have no choice but not to work.
I mean, it's also assault, and it could land you in prison.
Yeah, I mean, there is that too. I find the funny comical side.
I'm good. I do too.
Do you believe that everybody in radio right now is sitting there listening to this, and they're going, God, that's all I have to do is stab that guy in the throat, and I'll get a job? Way to go, Chris.
Right?
Yeah,
you would have to stab me right in the face, and they put some nice scarring or something on here.
You think people don't know that stabbing ends things?
Well, Jesus, nice story. Yeah. Nice reporting. How often you done that on TV? Let's talk about stabbing people in the ass. What do you say?
I haven't had the opportunity, Tom, but given the opportunity, I would open up that can of worms. On a serious note, there's been a threat it's not specified to the Minneapolis or the St. Paul campus at the U of M, but some Yahoo made some kind of a threat. His name is Joseph Mark Wrongstad. And he made a threat, said he was going to come and do something bad at what he referred to as the Twin Cities campus. There's more than one Twin Cities campus, right? So that, but it sounds like the campus is open with normal operations, although they're in J term right now, so there aren't a lot of kids who are there.
Yeah.
But anyway, that just came down within the last hour or so. There might be some parents and grandparents out there who might hear something about that. So I
have a question for you. So he's threatening to do what?
Come there and shoot up the place or something.
Shoot up the place.
Yeah.
Great. Once again, I will say this again, and we started the show with this very thing. Our politicians and national news people, not local news people, but national news people and politicians are making people more and more pissed off every day. And that's one of the big reasons, not the only reason, of course, but you're influencing people to be unsettled, unhappy, and mad as hell. You better back off that stuff or this is never going to end. It's only going to get worse because of your constant chirping and bitching on the air.
Yeah, I think there definitely seems to be a certain tone to things. And I do think people seem fairly triggered too. I would agree with you on that, Tom.
Well, I'll give you an example. I don't hate Biden and I don't hate Trump. Neither one of them is probably my kind of guy, but that goddamn Trump. Oh, that damn Biden. Settle down, relax. You don't have to be pissed off. You're going to end up with one or the other. So you may as well accept that and let's move forward. Right?
Well, you want to get right down to it. You can kind of ask yourself how much of an impact on your daily life either of them really truly has.
That's true. No, you're absolutely right. So I don't know.
Somebody could argue with me on, different tax policies and, this and that and whatever. Like I get immigration stance, like I get it, but really on a day-to-day basis. But there are a lot of people hang their whole lives on it, which,
You know what I love the most, though, Tevin? This one's for you.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not just because it's Biden, but it was Biden that did it. He did a church at a very famous black church where an unfortunate massacre happened. And he was basically telling all the black people what it's all about to be black. Like, oh, okay, Joe, I'm sure you know all about it. I'm watching the speech and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? It was very odd. And again, not just because he's Joe Biden, but why would anyone do that? Right?
Yeah, that's kind of politicians' favorite thing
It is.
to do is go into a black neighborhood and more or less educate them on how it is to live their lives.
It's true. I'll tell you how to live black. Oh, will you? Okay, good. Like I said, and it's not, I don't lean left or right. I'm stuck in the middle, which pisses everybody off, apparently. I have no friends in politics because you either have to be off to the left or off to the right, and I got no interest. I'm just kind of stuck in the middle with you bums.
Did you guys see the other day, Dean Phillips was holding a news conference and it wasn't a news conference. It was a rally. I think it was out in New Hampshire and not one person showed up for it.
Oh no.
And there was look it up on the Google. There's a picture of him.
I love it when you say the Google, by the way.
There's a picture of him sitting on the back of like his bus, just sitting there, like
Dean,
looking all distraught. And I don't know. It just made me think of that with the political thing.
Dean's an interesting guy because he called the family podcast back in the day, and he asked if he could be a guest on, and they booked him, and he came on. He was at the time, I don't even know what the hell he was doing, collecting money for Phillips, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Drink more vodka. Thank you. Good to go. But he came in, a very, very pleasant guy, and he asked me on the show live if I would endorse him if he ran for political office. I said, well, I don't really know you, but I know a friend of yours. And so far, if this interview goes well, then I would definitely consider it. I did end up endorsing Dean Phillips. Have not heard a word from him since. What a political thing to do. Isn't that amazing? Are politicians that stupid? You ask somebody for a favor, they do you the favor, and then when you don't need them anymore, just ignore them. That's not good thinking. I got to be honest with you. And I don't dislike Dean Phillips. It was just a really stupid move. And I would say him appearing in New Hampshire with nobody there, I would have said, you know what? I'm sorry, but I got a gut ache. I can't get off this bus. I'd like to get off the bus and do a speech, except for there's nobody there. But wouldn't you make up?
I would have come up with something to do.
Yes.
Sore throat, whatever it might be. Yeah. I mean, you're looking out that window and there's nobody out there. That's a good point.
Do not get off if there's nobody out there, do not get off the bus. Unfortunately, although now you can go in and have like colon cancer and nobody knows where you've been for the last week. What is that? What happened to him? The defense secretary?
Oh yeah. Prostate.
It was prostate cancer. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. He went in for the surgery. Apparently didn't tell anybody about it. Had follow-up pain and had to go back. And that's when people are really mad because he was in there for an extended amount of time without any notification of.
Yeah.
I mean, from part of me is like, that's just that's a really Washington-y story that really no one in the real world cares about.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if you also look at that the other way, that like this is a high-ranking member of the cabinet, a guy who should be reachable in the event. When you think about what world events are right now, at any moment, if the guy needed to be reached and nobody knew where he was, I definitely get the concern there. But I also feel like that's a super DC story that somebody's just, the feelings are hurt because this and that and whatever didn't happen. I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. I know you got to go, but I want to ask everybody, obviously including you, this situation. Why did the Patriots part ways with Belichick, who won 6 Super Bowl? Why would you ask him to go away?
I feel like that's a big optics thing that they felt like they needed to do that. But I mean, well, you guys could argue for the rest of the show here today about whether the New England Patriots were what they were because of Belichick, or whether it was Brady, or as a combination of both, because, there's all kinds of different trains of thought on that.
And it can be both, by the way, but people don't do that anymore. People don't go both anymore. It's either got to be one guy or the other. It's not both.
Yeah, it can be both. For sure. Both. It could be, sometimes magic happens, and those are the special teams that you get. And I don't know. I admired the guy for years and years. Do you think he'll retire? Is he going to go anywhere? Anybody know? I don't know.
I don't have a clue.
I admire him for being a crab ass. He did never. That guy, he was not an ass kisser. He was not. I like that about him a lot. But I also think maybe that's part of what might have people turned off now when things aren't going so well for them. But
yeah, I loved his love of sweatshirts, but hatred of sleeves. That was my favorite thing about him. And sometimes he'd wear an undershirt under the sleeves he cut off. And I was like, this man is wild for that.
My favorite Bill Belichick thing was when Randy Moss was on the Patriots. It's Halloween time, and Randy Moss is setting up a team party. So he goes into Bill's office, and they got this clip of him saying, like, hey, coach, me and the guys we're throwing this together. I don't know if it's your thing, but if you want, he goes, yeah, I love Halloween. And he's like, I don't think he's going to show up. He shows up with his wife, and they're both full costume pirate. Yep. He's got the drawn on beard, just loving it. And it's like at a roller skate rink. So it's Bill Belichick just as a pirate, roller rink skating. And it's just the best video of all time. It's so
amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah. We can close with this. I have a candidate for the worst roller skater of all time. Because there used to be that old skate rink over in St. Louis Park with the dinosaur on top of it. Remember that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the worst roller skater you've ever seen? Heard of?
I would imagine it's you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Good call. I suck at roller skating. So I couldn't ice skate. I couldn't roll. I don't know what the hell it is with my balance when I'm on wheels or a blade. It's not
check your genetics as a Minnesotan if you can't skate.
Yeah.
Look, my genetics set me up basically to be kind of an owly pain in the ass. That's what my family did for me.
I've seen you bowl, and I can't unsee that.
All right, let's not move into many sports here, shall we?
Chris.
I gotta go,
Chris. Bye. Channel 5's Chris Eggers brought to you by Mr. Money Talk Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation to 952-925-5608. That's 952-925-5608. Channel 5's Chris Eggert. Again, I know I say it quite often, but I'm going to say it again. He's one of my favorite people in the world. Just a great guy.
Yeah.
Now, here's something else I suck at. Let's take a break. What do you think?
I love it. Perfect. Nailed it.
Roller skating and reading advertisements. Are you good at anything, Tom?
You're actually super good at reading advertisements, so calm down. You're good at your profession, 1,000%.
That's probably a good thing. Thank you. Mike Lindell and MyPillow employees want to thank my listeners for all of your continued support. To thank you, they're having an overstock clearance and new product sale right now for the best prices ever. When you use promo code TOM, you get free shipping on your entire order. Get 50% off the MyPillow 2.0. Also get 50% off the brand new flannel sheets that just arrived and won't last long. 6-pack towel sets for only $29.98, and take advantage of the free shipping on larger items such as mattresses and mattress toppers, 100% made made in the USA, on sale for as low as $99.99. Everything is on sale, from the brand new kitchen towels that have the same technology as the bath towels that actually absorb, dog beds, blankets, couch pillows, so much more. To get the best specials ever, go to mypillow.com or call 800-516-5146. Use promo code TOM and get free shipping on your entire order. So call 800-516-5146 or go to mypillow.com and use promo code TOM. Tom here, and I want to discuss a partnership that has been wonderful in my life, Zero Res Carpet Care. Very good friends of mine. Nothing is better to someone with a family than having a completely clean home. Your carpet is the biggest filter in your house. If you want to talk about pet dander or foot traffic, dirt from the outside, they all eventually reside in your carpet. So, Zero Res Carpet Care. Listen, around the holidays, you need to contact ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZEROREZ. That's 952-ZERO-RES. They clean your home with their electrolyzed pH-elevated water that doesn't use chemicals or soaps that smell like a janitor's closet like other cleaning services. How about a Tom Barnard deal? Well, here it is. Get 3 rooms, zero resified, starting at $129, and don't forget your air ducts. Mention me, and they'll discount your air vents by $75 too. This is for the entire month, so call them right now, 952-0-RES, backward or forwarded, spells the same, or book online, ZeroResMinnesota.com. If it's available, ask for them to come to your place in the Tom Barnard named service truck. What an honor that was, by the way. Just mention me by name and get the special deal to get your home clean and your heart happy. Zero Res Carpet. Yeah, baby. We'll take care of it. K&L Surplus and Ammo is your one-stop shop for all firearms-related products and is the preferred choice among enthusiasts for over 25 years, by the way. Why? K&L Surplus and Ammo offers one of the widest selections of firearms in the region. The big box stores say they have a big selection, but that usually just means they have a lot of inventory, not a wide selection of different types of firearms. K&L has a broad selection of different calibers, plus K&L Surplus and Ammo is veteran-owned. I know the guy's a great guy. Offers first responder and veteran discounts. K&L is committed to safety and is a licensed FFL retailer. Find out for yourself why K&L Surplus and Ammo has been the choice of gun owners for over 25 years. Go to www.klgunstore.com. I will do it. I will go to TomBarnardShow.com, and it'll be magnificent. And yeah, great job booking a guest for this week. It's coming along beautifully. Janice Dickinson will join us in just about 4 or 5 minutes, as a matter of fact, to talk to her. I did not know this. Are you ready to witness the astonishing transformation of the world's first supermodel? Did you know Janice Dickinson was the world's first supermodel?
I did.
Did you really?
Yeah, because I watched America's Next Top Model with Tyra Banks, and she was savage to those girls. It was amazing.
Really?
Yeah, I loved it.
Why did they put up with it?
Oh, because she was like, you know how back in the day it was formulaic to have like the mean judge or like the really critical judge? Yeah. She was that, and she nailed that role. She was always like, her big thing is like, she grew up in an age of supermodels that you have to be waif skin, like skinny, like you have to be tiny. And so she'd always say, well, that person can't be, she can't be runway. And she'd be like skinny, and she'd be like, she has to lose 5 pounds. We're like, how?
Right.
Like the modeling world with how they look at weight and stuff, it's kind of gotten better.
Yeah.
But I remember doing it was for like a leather jacket company doing like a runway show type of thing. And
I knew you when that happened, right?
Yeah, I'm not like a model person. They just like needed some people. Some guy saw me at the gym and was like, hey, do this thing. But anyway, so they cater in Jimmy John's in between like shows. And I'm like, we've been here all day.
Yeah.
I'm starving. Give me all the Jimmy John sandwiches, cookies, chips, you name it. Let's go. And watching a line of like professional models go, I can eat like I'll eat the tomato off of it and not the bread and stuff like that. I was like, I couldn't make it in this industry.
I would never.
No.
That's
all right, I have to ask you guys a question here because I know we only got about a minute before Janice comes on. Have you ever had a dog that can open your door?
No.
Nope.
I have not. No, not one of mine.
No. The door to this studio has one of those lever handles. It's not a knob. It's a lever handle you pull down.
Yeah.
Jude can open the door. He just opened the door and came in. Judy.
I'm surprised because he's so little. Like, I'm surprised he can make that jump.
I know. He jumps up and pulls it down and comes in. It's hilarious.
I had a foster dog that I swear was David Blaine. Her name was Taylor Swift, this foster dog.
What a
And
shock.
shocking. She had 7 puppies, but her thing was she lived on the street her whole life. That girl the things she could navigate and make it look like she would get out of every kennel I put her in. She would get out of everything. I was like, all right, Tay. She was
You just made me think of something. I think the reason that Jude can open the door is because when Ethan started coming over a few days ago, he can pull down on that thing and come in, a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
So I think Jude watched him and said, hey, if a 2-year-old kid can do it, I can do it. So he kept watching how he got in and realized that if he pulled down on that handle, the door would open.
I do wonder where he sees himself in the pack. Is he above Ethan? Is he below Ethan? Because I think Jude thinks he's above Ethan.
For sure.
I don't think there's any question about that. That's just a given. I think well, Jude thinks he's better than everybody. But what he does, which I really enjoy, you guys all have animals. Well, not all of you, but most of you have animals, right?
Yeah, we all have dogs. Yeah.
Everybody has a dog. I just love the fact that when Andy and Melissa and Ethan go home, Jude sits in front of Catherine and stares at her like, what are you doing?
Right. Like
we need over every day. Get rid of them.
Yeah, we need to discuss boundaries. In my house.
Do they bring because they have a dog too? Do they bring their dog as well?
Daisy comes over as well, and Daisy and Jude get along really well.
Oh,
they don't really hang out.
Yeah,
but they're not harsh to one another or anything like that. But Jude has this thing, like, you guys don't understand. I came to live with you guys because there are 2 of you. I don't want to live with 5 people and another dog.
Jude had a hard time at my house. I mean, it wasn't so bad. Okay, so I had 2 dogs and a cat when I lived alone, and he, I would say it actually went well, but he definitely didn't put himself in the category of dog.
No, no, not at all.
Which was fine because my dogs are dogs. They don't go on the furniture, and we would go on runs and things like that. So I definitely treated them like 2 different entities. There was Jude and then there were dogs, and my dogs were like fine with that. So a lot of times he would sit with me and be like, these dogs are disgusting.
That's exactly it too, isn't it?
Yeah.
What the hell? What are you going to do? But yeah, let me know when Janice is ready to go and we can move right in.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on the call, but I'll let you know.
Well, I understand that's how things go sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. Vikings' pivotal offseason could shape franchise for next decade. What do they mean by that? What changed? Their quarterback got hurt, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think we're officially at a crossroads where we have an option because we are up so high in the draft where we can get a high-end quarterback that's young and we can kind of move forward, or we can say, hey, we had too many injuries this year, we can bring Kirk Cousins back, we think maybe that can get us to 10-11 wins, and we can kind of go down the veteran quarterback and kind of kick the can down the road as far as getting a quarterback. But yeah, so it's kind of one road. I think just delays the inevitable of probably having a couple bad seasons and growing pains with a young team. But it feels like this is the time to rip the Band-Aid off, because I don't think we're bringing back Daniil Hunter just because he's going to want too much money. Unless maybe
he's good, though.
Yeah, unless maybe we don't bring Kirk back and go with that young quarterback, then we can kind of keep more guys around him.
Don't you think that's the prudent way to go?
Yeah, I think in a perfect world, Kirk takes a little bit of a discount. You draft a quarterback, and then you kind of have the young guys sit for a year, and Kirk can mentor him, and then goodbye, Kirk. But I think in reality, you probably just let Kirk walk and take a young quarterback and say, now this is we're going to start the future now.
Can you then keep Daniil Hunter?
I think so. As long as he wants to be here, I think we can make the money work. Yes.
He's really good. I mean, even as bad as this team was this year, he was still really good.
Yeah, he was one of the best defensive ends or edge rushers in the league this year. And the combination of him and Wanham was, I want to say, like a top 5 in sack production.
Yeah, I tell you, it's it does piss me off when the Vikings have such a bad year, no question. The only thing I would say, and I understand, like I said, I ran into him once at a restaurant, but I didn't talk to him. He was like a table away or whatever. Seemed like a nice guy, but he's never won anything. Has he?
Kirk?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like not even, I think in college he may have gotten to a Rose Bowl, but I don't think he ever won one. And I mean, it's very hard to win a Super Bowl, but yeah, he hasn't ever gotten us over the hump, which we've had teams that have been good enough to get us there, but he just isn't good enough to kind of take that extra step to be part of the 1% of the 1%.
Right. Yeah. I'm just hoping we get lucky enough to, like New England did with Tom Brady. They didn't know he was anywhere near that good.
Oh no,
they had no clue he was that good.
There, like the list of just players, period, that were taken ahead of him that played maybe a 1 year or didn't play at all. Like, yes, you have to get lucky, and the Vikings franchise usually doesn't get lucky here.
Yeah, I like you saying that because I've been, around for a while, noticing that we don't have a whole lot of luck when it comes to the big end of things. So no question about it.
No.
Vikings have had some magnificent players over the years, and it's got like Chuck Foreman should have won at least 2 Super Bowls. He was phenomenal.
Yeah, when you look at, and I think we've got Janice on, but yeah, there's a lot of players that we've had the best at certain positions that haven't panned out.
Yep.
Janice, ready to go?
Yeah, she's all set to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Janice Dickinson joining us, promoting her EP, her new EP, I Coined It, which is available now wherever you get your music. Janice, what time do you need to be out by? Because I just, we're a couple of minutes into it. I just want to make sure you get out on time. So do you know what time you need to be out by?
Well, as soon as you get everything you need.
Well, then it's going to be like 3-4 hours,
No, that's too late.
That's too late.
Yeah, we've still got the normal 10 minutes here.
We'd have the normal 10 minutes. Okay, so we got excellent. So are you ready to witness the astonishing transformation of the world's first supermodel? Now, I want to pause there. You were the world's first supermodel. So everybody else was a model. Janice Dickinson comes along, and all of a sudden there's a supermodel. Is that correct?
Well, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. There was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on the studio floors.
Sure.
Blood, sweat, and tears, on the Concorde or the air flights, the reservations, in the taxi cabs. It was really tough traveling to all these countries, being so young and trying to fit in and make sure that I meet the right contacts and getting there on time to be punctual.
Yeah,
it was rough.
Yeah, I could see that. I got to believe that's a very, very difficult thing to do. Isn't there, Janice, not constant travel when you're in that position?
Absolute constant travel. It's constant everything. It's constant, you're putting your makeup on inside the taxi cab or the limo, doing your hair, getting the stockings out, putting stockings on. We had to do everything ourselves. We traveled with everything stuffed in cases. So
yeah, that makes total sense.
Prepared once they arrived.
It's interesting, Janice, because I did pre-read the descriptor for your visit with us today on the Tom Barnard Show, but you've included things. You're a gutsy woman, I will tell. Well, not even just a woman. You're a gutsy human being. You face things the way things are. I'm very impressed with that, Janice, because look, I mean, here's an example. The swing that your life has taken. She's making a big impact online with over 300 million views and over 500,000 followers on her different social platforms. The very next paragraph. Do you want to talk about that, Janice? The next paragraph?
Sure.
God, you're an amazing woman. Janice Doreen Dickinson was brought up in a small household in Hollywood. She suffered a tragic childhood at the hands of her pedophile father, but soon liberated herself when she moved out to New York to fulfill her ambition of becoming a supermodel. You are a strong human being, Janice Doreen Dickinson. I'll tell you that.
Well, thank you very much. It took a lot of people that I surrounded myself to help me get there. I just don't want to say like I just showed up and that was it.
Yeah.
There were my agents, and there were managers, there were hair and makeup people, there were even the people that bring the food at craft services. Everyone had a place in my life for keeping the show on air.
Yeah, that does make sense. Janice, I not the same situation as your father. In a different way it was. My father was a complete asshole. And I don't think people do understand when you have a parent, one or the other, that is not a good person, you will carry that with you for the rest of your life. You try to shun it, but it just never completely goes away, does it?
Indeed, it never goes away.
Right.
Even the verbal abuse that I got, you'll never make it. You're not good enough.
Oh,
Look at your body. Your breasts aren't big enough. Nothing was enough for him.
Janice, you sounded like my father talking to me when you said those words. I'll tell you that. I don't think he talked about my big breasts, but other than that, no, but nothing was ever good enough for it. How did you deal with the fact? Because, you're a talented, smart, beautiful person. How did you deal with this guy just knocking you down constantly? Or did that make you even stronger?
He was such an angry man that I knew what to say and what not to say. But, I too have a personality and an ego. And, in the middle of all of this, while I was getting put down and chewed up and thrown out the window, I had this forget about it attitude that I just really wanted to just tell him off and just tell him you're not the greatest thing since baked bread, and
yes.
And just let him know that what I thought of him.
Janice, I want to salute you because you're a very strong person, and I really, really admire that. To just very quickly, because I do want to talk about your EP. I Coined It, but the last time I heard from my father, I hadn't seen him in decades. He called. He was dying in the hospital. I don't know why he wanted to see me. Then I show up, I visit my father, who weighs about 80 pounds. He's got about 5 tubes down his throat, and he's dying. And as I walked in, he and I never got along anyway, but he had a chalkboard, and he wrote something on the chalkboard, and it fell on his chest face down. So I picked it up, and before I turned it over, I wonder, what is he going to say to me? He never liked me. He never cared for me. I turned it around, and Janice, you know what it said on the little chalkboard?
I can't imagine.
Get me out of here. That's what it said. It's like, Janice, no.
You to get him out of there.
Yeah.
You should have put a big grin on your face.
He did.
Said, no, you belong here.
All right, let's talk EP. Her new EP, I Coined It, which is available now wherever you get your music. What enticed you to get into the music business? Because that's a tough business, no doubt about it.
I was sitting around and I was working just so hard on my TikTok, my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube, my @Janice Dickinson, on all of these social media platforms. And I just thought to myself, if I could do this and conquer this, because conquering social platforms is not easy.
No.
I worked on it daily for almost over a year now, and I thought to myself, look, if I can make it here, I can make it anywhere. It's just like that song, New York, New York. And I thought to myself, I've always wanted to be a singer, and I don't see anything stopping me now except for money. And I had a bit of money that's gone now that I put into making the EP. I Coined It. That just came out, and it happens to be number one on the.
Ooh.
It happens to be number one on the dance floor circuit. It hit number one. Oh, I'm really proud of that.
Well, you should be. You and the Beatles, number one, right?
It's exciting.
It is exciting, no question. Janice, I want you to come back. I look, because of my father, I was raised by my mother and my sisters. I adore women. They told me how to become a man, actually. So to hear another person that went through pretty much the same situation, you'll always be one of my favorites now, Janice. I appreciate your time this morning.
Oh, I totally appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janice Dickinson. Ladies and gentlemen, I Coined It, new EP, available now. God, I love that.
Yeah, it's exciting. I bet it feels really vulnerable because she's not been in that realm to even sometimes just say your dream out loud and then to pursue it with your resources. I mean, that's scary. So that's cool that she's doing it.
Well, I'll tell you what, honestly, God, you do not run into many people like her because, like I've talked about my childhood, it wasn't the greatest. Not like I said, that same night when my father died, even though he was Baptist, my mother, and they had been separated for 25, 30 years by that time. My mother sent a Catholic priest to give him the last rites.
Yeah.
Which he was dying anyway, so he didn't care. But my mother sent a priest over. And after he died, the priest walks up and he puts his hand on my shoulder and he goes, Tom, I'm sorry your father died. And I said, Father, he had it coming. And the look that priest got on his face.
Oh my God.
He was like, whoa, boy, I gotta go. Let me get away from you before lightning strikes.
Right. No,
I am very impressed with that woman to come on the radio, come on podcasts, go on television, talking about your father being a pedophile.
Yeah.
Holy, that's a strong woman right there, man.
Yeah, she is. And she gets a bad rap about being kind of the bad, I was going to say the bad boy of modeling, but the bad girl of modeling. But here's the thing. What's different between her and other people is she'll say it to your face. Now, these casting models, you come in, they'll say, you're amazing. We cannot, it's very Hollywood. You're amazing. We love your look. We'll get back to you. And she'll walk in and she lets herself be the mean one, but actually gives them critiques that they should probably hear. Like, you'll never make it in modeling because of this, or you need to fix this. And sometimes she's wrong because of, time has changed the way we look at modeling, but that was the world she came from. And she truly believed it when she was saying it. It was like, if you think that you could have, walk like that down the runway, you can't, and I think that's abrasive for people that don't communicate well, or that think they're communicating well and think they're the nice people. In reality, they do the same thing as her. They just don't give the person a chance to know why they're rejecting them.
Should we send out an email to all the radio stations and podcasts in the country and say, if you're going to interview Janice Dickinson, please don't ask her if her father ever made a move on her, because she ain't going to want to answer that question.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't ask her. You don't ask people that question.
No,
right?
I think saying escaping her or the hands of her pedophile father. Yeah. I think even that's pretty vulnerable. Yeah.
Honest to God, see, my father was not a pedophile, so that's a whole different setup. But for her to be so bold and so brave to come through with that and how she dealt with it and her father treated her like shit anyway, that's a strong, I love strong women like that. Well, you're such a weakling, Brittany,
Yeah. You know what I love, Tom, too, is that she's out there being vulnerable. And we could say, oh, well, she's used, whatever. There are people that have also dealt with this and they deal with it in silence because everyone feels uncomfortable around it. And the reality of it is you should be able to talk about it, and you should be able to have people that, and show that there's a life after how terrible this is, and how she's an example for that. And I think how thankful we are living in a world, because 20, 30 years ago, I don't think, maybe more, maybe 30 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, people would not have told the fact that this happened to them.
Oh, no.
Then spend their lives maybe with addiction problems or relationship problems, never dealing with it because it's was so unacceptable to bring up. And I'm very thankful we're in a day and age where if this terrible things can happen to you and you can figure out what a successful life is to you and follow that.
What's interesting about that is a lot of people say, God, Catherine's a tough woman, man. That's interesting. You married such a tough woman. And I said, what do you mean it's interesting? They said, well, yeah, she's pretty tough. And I said, but that's who my mother and my sisters were.
Yeah.
She attracted me immediately because she is such a tough woman and puts up with nobody's bullshit. I love that about Catherine.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense. I think it'd be, I could see you with no other partner than somebody that is almost to the point where it's hilarious to watch you pine over her and her be like, get a life.
Well, that does happen on a daily basis, by the way. We should point that out. No, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. Catherine was filling in for someone answering the phone at my attorney's office. That's how I met her. She was filling in. I walked in. Well, I told you the first thing she ever said to me. I walk in and I said, would you tell Alan that Uncle Tom is here? She goes, Mr. Dorfman, Uncle Bob is here. And I said, my name is Tom. And she looks up and goes, yeah, whatever. I was sold right there.
Though very aggressive and assertive, she might be terrible as a receptionist.
Yeah, she would not be a good receptionist. That is a fact. She's 40%
of your job is conveying an accurate description of who is at your front desk.
Pretty much true, right?
Who the heck is Uncle Tom or Bob?
Do we have to take a break here?
Yeah.
I thought we did, and I want to make sure to check in with you guys, get that done. We shall be right back in a couple of minutes. Continue with you know what? This is one of those shows. We got another great guest. Robert Carradine is going to be on the very famous Carradine family. Great actors. John Carradine was one of my all-time favorites, no question. But thank you again. And this is why having guests on this show is so important to me. Mm-hmm. I had never talked to Janice Dickinson before. It was a total surprise. And that's why when you do send me the descriptors, I don't go on the internet and look up things about it. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Because I just want her or he to be themselves and go forward. I love that interview. She's a very, very tough woman and just very cool, I thought.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We shall be right back in a couple minutes right after this.
This is the Tom Barnard Show. Listen live on the Tom Barnard Show app or at tombarnardshow.com.
Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC has a mutiny on his hands. His sales crew said they've had it brooming snow off the new Buicks and GMCs, then warm them up, move them to plow, and repark them again. He even overheard them cooking up an alternative plan, a sale.
This is crazy. Why don't we just mark them down and sell them?
This is getting real old to be out on that lot in this sub-zero weather.
That's right. Everyone we sell is one less to broom. I heard we're supposed to get 6 more inches tomorrow.
I'm 5'6". How am I supposed to get the snow off the roof of a pickup?
I'm Jim Paul, and well, car dealers do have all kinds of crazy sales. This idea probably makes more sense than most. There's plenty of inventory, so okay, the crew has decided.
So then it's official. The We Don't Want to Broom snow sale is in full force at Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings. Snowy inventory priced real right at valleycardealers.com.
Hello, I'm Brad Huckle, President and Chief Lending Officer at North American Banking Company.
And I'm Michael Bilski, CEO at North American Banking Company.
As a locally owned and operated community bank, we work with many multi-generational businesses.
Take Personal Care Dentistry of Roseville, for example. Dr. Walter Hunt, also known as Painless to Me, has been a longtime customer of the bank since we opened the bank in 1998.
When his son Kyle was ready to join the practice, they wanted to expand quickly.
With their additional space and equipment, they now are able to see more patients each day while providing the same level of care and service.
Okay, guys, I'll take it from here. If you run a family business or any kind of business for that matter, you should be banking with Brad and Mike over at North American Banking Company. Every time I deal with them or their team, I know I'm working with experienced professional bankers. So why not bank with my banker? North American Banking Company, a better banking experience, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Tom Barnard is back. Every weekday, you'll hear Tommy B, Brittany Arneson. Yes, that Brittany Arneson. Along with Tom's pals, Kent Herbeck on Fridays, Bob Sansevier, Mike Stretch Gelfand, Tim Lammers, and from Channel 5 Eyewitness News, Chris Eggert and Kristen Burt on entertainment and pop culture. It's Tom and the crew with opinions on news, opinions on life, opinions on entertainment, and of course, opinions on other people's stupid opinions. The Tom Barnard Show is a podcast, so you can listen when you want to listen. In the car, on the way to or from work, at home, on the job site, or wherever you need your Tommy B Show fix. Hear the show on the Tom Barnard Show app in your app store, as a podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts, or see it on YouTube on the Tom Barnard Show channel. You get your podcasts.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Brittany's in studio, Tevin, AJ. I got to ask you guys a question because I don't really know anything about this stuff. And maybe you guys, some people study it. I really don't much. But I just popped on the Wall Street Journal. Inflation edges up after a rapid cooling in most of 2023. Would you guys have any idea why that happened?
No, I couldn't know something less.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I think, is that a Josh Arnold question for sure?
Yeah, definitely. We'll talk to Josh about that tomorrow on the family show. No question about it. But yeah, report unlikely to change the Fed's near-term policy outlook. Yeah, it shot up quite a bit. It was just kind of hanging in there, and I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Do you know enough about it? Because I do not. Do you know enough about it? What caused inflation to edge up? Because I have no idea.
I don't know, but right, I was reading something about things that are had a huge inflation lately, right? And it's the groceries is one, and then the number one big inflation that exceeds growth anywhere else is daycare at the moment. That's the number,
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
And that's a big deciding factor then in people having kids or how much kids they're going to have, because right now I think the average is $20,000 to $26,000 a year if you have daycare for your child. And that's
$26,000 a year.
Yeah.
Well, I have a friend that has 3 kids.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, I don't want to brag, but
No, I know. I meant wow, that's a lot of kids.
What a humble brag.
yeah, no, but him
It's
and
a lot.
but yeah,
nowadays.
and him and his wife both have, professional 9-to-5 type jobs, and they were, had to sit down and have that conversation. Like, we could save money if one of us just quits our job,
Yeah.
rather than sending kids. to
Yeah.
daycare. And so it's like when it gets to that point,
Yeah.
it's just absolutely ludicrous to think about how much money it's costing.
Think about $50,000. If I want 2 kids in daycare, let's say it's on the low end, $40,000 just gone. And I get it, right? It's a privilege to have daycare. Not everybody, whatever,
Mhm.
but it is. It really makes you think short term instead of long term, where you go, well, it doesn't make sense for me to work. I could just,
Right.
And so I think that is such an interesting conversation we're having too, because there's a lot of people I know, like we talked about dinks, the dual income, no kids, that are going that route because of all those factors. And that plays a big part in it.
No doubt. Well, I think I mentioned a couple of days ago that Andy and I went to the store and bought a bunch of groceries, came home and had everybody guess how much those groceries cost, kind of laid them out on the table. How much do you think this costs? And they kind of agreed. They centered on the number $130.
Yeah.
Right. It was $300.
Gulp.
Yeah.
$300 to run to the grocery store. Now I think there were like 3 bags. It wasn't like we bought the store out.
No,
we didn't buy, like we bought steak, but we didn't buy the expensive like Wagyu or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just $300 to buy groceries.
Yeah.
$300 of groceries, back in my day used to be like mom would come in with like 2 fistfuls of grocery bags and be like, put your shoes on. We got to go get the rest of it.
That feeling of throwing on random people's shoes.
Yeah, and I'm wearing my mom's high heels as I try to walk outside. Yeah. And nowadays, $300 worth of groceries just is like 2 bags.
The box of wheat thins and like water.
Right.
For $300.
Yep.
Wheat thins and water for $300. That's all there is. I mean, look, I know everybody's got to make a living. Everybody can do this, can do that, blah, 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 blah. But seriously, you find these articles once in a while, like the studio where you guys are right now. I don't know if it's still there, but Jimmy Francis brought in a couple of real old newspapers, and they're kind of sitting in that where the kids go and play in the tent when they come in with Alex.
Oh, okay.
There's a newspaper in there, and honest to God, it's like a new car for sale. Come in today, under $1,000 for a car. I'm like, what?
Hell yeah. I'll take 2.
Exactly. You look back and the rapid growth. And here's the problem for you guys, not for me, because I'm at the point where, it's not going to change that much for the rest of my life. But you guys are going to get to a point in your life when you're going to be paying $600 for a trip to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And hopefully, the thing that sucks, right? Like, is that you would hope that your income grows with that, but it's not guaranteed. And that's where you go, oh, that's rough. Like me and Justin, we would love to have another kid, but it's a hard pill to swallow, is that there will be a few years where we're not going to be looking at new cars or looking at vacations, and we'll be fine. We're in a great spot, but we do have to buckle down for those first probably 5 years of the kiddos' lives, which is a sacrifice we're, willing to make. And I'm not trying to be like, well, we have to have kids. We don't, but it's changed because there used to be a time where you could afford to have one person work and it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah. Yep.
Or you could have two people work. My mom was a teacher and, my dad, was whatever. I don't, but like it was.
My dad was whatever. Let's get Janice Dickinson back on the phone.
Right. Oh God, I can't compare my life to hers.
No, God, nobody can.
No, I did because they weren't married. They got divorced when I was 5. So he was a pharmacist. He had a pharmacy in Williston, and there was a time where that was they were wealthy in their own way because they had 2 jobs and daycare was just not even a factor in their mind. So I think the problem is when one things grow and the others don't. The housing market was insane for a while, and hopefully it calms down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, what do you have to make now in order to live a comfortable, not just comfortable, but a step above a comfortable life? You got to be making around 100 G's a year, don't you?
Yeah, I think that's the minimum now.
Yeah,
that's the minimum now, making 100 G's a year to live comfortably.
Yeah, I would say if you want to have like an adequate, not a dump, like you're not living in the projects, you want to, not be paycheck to paycheck and, live a, have kind of, I would say like a work-life balance where you're going out and having fun, not just staying home. Yeah, I would say probably 100,000 is probably what it would take to get there, especially if you have other people in your life to support.
And I think more than that, if you're looking to like purchase a home as well.
Oh yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
If you have a house already, then 100,000 might be able to take care of it. But like if you're in a position like Tevin or I, Tevin, you don't own a home, correct?
No. Oh no. Yeah. I tried to buy a house during the whole everybody's trying to buy a house, and when every time they were like, if you're not going $20,000 over asking, don't even bother.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't need any. No inspections. No nothing.
No
Give me all the termites.
inspection. Like maybe there's a hole in the roof, maybe not, but it's still just go.
But yeah, if you're looking to buy a house, you need more than that for sure.
So where do we, because that's what, inflation edges up after rapid cooling in most of 2023. So you're going to run and get a burger, some fries, and a large soda, and it's going to cost you what, $25?
I mean, it's funny too, because like I almost punched Justin right in his beautiful face yesterday. I went to Costco, and I'm pretty good at making Costco work for us.
I love Costco.
I got a big piece of salmon, and we make it that day, and then Gogo loves it, and so us 3 eat that for like 2 to 3 meals. There's lunch like the next couple days. Like I make it and then divide it up. He looked at me after I did the big Costco run, organized everything, freezed half the stuff, all the stuff, and he looks at me, and goes, "We should get pizza tonight."
You bust your ass, and he wants pizza.
I'm sorry. I'm sitting here working for trying to make our paycheck work for us.
Right.
You're like, let's splurge. I'm like, this salmon has a deadline. Like, we can't eat it 5 days later.
Right.
So you're eating salmon tonight. And the fact that I have to say that in a way that sounds like punishment makes me hate you right now.
Well, some people I feel like my girlfriend is kind of the same way, where she'll go buy groceries, but then in her mind, none of this is ever going to expire. And so,
like, what is wrong with you?
Like, these vegetables don't last forever. Like, let's make some stuff today, tomorrow, the next day.
I had to treat him like a child, and I said, okay, we have one open night this week is Friday night. I go, why don't we do a pizza night Friday? He goes, that sounds great. I was like, yeah, it does, bitch. So shut up.
It's funny you bring up Costco. I just saw this guy on TikTok who he did a challenge for himself. A week straight, he only got the Costco dollar and drink like for every meal.
Sounds awesome.
He said he spent like $44 and a little change on a hot dog for breakfast with a pop. Same thing for lunch, same thing for dinner. He said he lost 5 pounds. The only thing was bad was like his bowel movements looked
sodium would be high too.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where I thought you were going with the Costco.
Oh,
like that's the best money saving hack ever.
Yeah,
$1.50 for
they refuse to raise the price on that too, Tom. There's 2 things at Costco that they actually lose money on, and one is the rotisserie chicken.
Delicious.
Yep, and they put it way in the back, so you have to like snake your way back there. It's impossible. Like I have tried as a challenge to be like, I'm just gonna pick up a chicken. I've never done it. I've never seen. I'm like, fine, pretzels as well. And then the other one is the hot dog and drink after, where you chill out, decompress what just happened to you in the chaos that is Costco. And I always tell myself, Brittany, you're allowed to get that if you want, but I like never have, like since my childhood. I can't wait till Go-Go is old enough where I use that as like and then after we'll sit and have a hot dog. Like that is the vibe I'm going for.
Now, one thing I do love about Costco is like when you buy a bag of caramel corn, and you have to get a pickup to get it home.
I know.
I love gigantic things of snacks. It's phenomenal.
We have a lot of rules about Costco, and one is you do not experiment in Costco. Like if you're like, oh, I wonder if I'd like this flavor for the next year of our life.
Right.
Like, no. You go there, the unknowns are Cub, Byerly's, Trader Joe's. You can hit up the unknowns there, but not at Costco. No. We're not trying to like try something for the first time there. That's for sure.
Did Costco do curbside during like the pandemic where people were bringing out?
I can't even imagine.
That must have killed their business.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine like the employee having to haul out his 50th tub of cheese puffs to somebody's car? Like, just a whole workout.
You know, one thing I got to tell you, just brought back this. It's a memory, so it works for me. Back when I used to work at the Q and I'd go to Costco over there in St. Louis Park, I spent about 10% of the time shopping and the other 90% of the time talking to listeners. Every time I went to Costco, it's like, I'll be home in a few hours, honey. Don't worry about it. Everything is good. I mean, they were very nice people, but I could see that Costco would be the headquarters for our type of listener.
1,000%.
No
1,000%. First off, I run into so many people I know at Costco. I've like quit being extremely scrubby when I go there because I'm always like, oh, hey, everybody in my life at one moment.
Can we do a live show from Costco?
I can't even tell you.
Oh my.
You know what? I talked to Bernie yesterday about advertisers. I want somebody to call Costco and see if we can do a live show from Costco, but only if they advertise. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I literally, Tom, like, I feel like you are the same way. I can tell you the top 5 things you need to get at Costco every time you go. I know that place inside. I freaking love Costco. It also was one of the last places I went before it was officially the pandemic. And people had this extreme urge to buy bottles of water. I remember we all remember the toilet paper thing, but like I think people forget that people also acted like we're about to have a radioactive
like a fallout.
Yeah, exactly. Post-apocalyptic world where like everything's radiation, because people were buying so much bottled water. And I kept having the thought of like, if we were relying on that water, that wouldn't last long.
No. Well, people lost their minds. I had a friend that during the whole rush to grocery stores was like, what if like civilization falls and we have to leave the city? I was like, okay.
Well, it's fallen now, so you might have been prescient. What is this name of the sandwich? I think it's a roast beef sandwich that comes on like a Subway bun. You know,
it's like the pre-made one.
Yes.
I think they have it's like a roast beef sandwich. I haven't had that one, but do you ever get the pre-made taco set?
Yes.
That's a good one. I'm
telling you, that sandwich is phenomenal. I don't know. They got a name for it, but I don't remember what it is. But yeah, the takeaway food from Costco. I love Costco. I like everything about Costco.
Oh, do you guys get the cauliflower crust pizza?
Oh, I'm sure we have. Yeah, absolutely.
I see the face that Tevin is currently making.
Not doing it?
No, wait, before you say anything. I have a neighbor, Brian Golden, and he is a purist, and he is a man who will not skimp. I made that pizza for him, and he goes, this might be better than the normal crust because it's a little bit. You guys, I'm bringing it in. I'll tell you
what we'll do. We have a purebred Italian on the show tomorrow with Bob Sansevier. I want to hear his take on cauliflower crust pizza.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the cauliflower crust. I'm sure it tastes fine, all of that.
Fine is an understatement.
But the love that you have for Costco, it's like CrossFit or being a vegan or anything else, or being a Scientologist. Like, you can never run into somebody with a Costco membership that's not going to talk like Brittany's.
When I was a nanny for a very, very beautiful, blessed family, they gave me a Costco membership. I would be at bars talking to random people, showing them my Costco.
there's a video. There's a video of two young people, probably in their like early 20s, at a baseball game, and the camera like pans to them, and he's going through his wallet, and he pulls out a Costco card, and the girl's face is like,
that is.
Oh my gosh.
I would literally be like talking to random people if I didn't even talk about next day. I'll be like, do you want toilet paper for a year? Because that's what I would do. I'd be like, I'll meet you there. You can use my. I would brag about. It was such a flex in my 20s to have a Costco membership.
I imagine Brittany showing up to the bar. It's like up to the bouncer. All right, sweetie, I need to see some ID. She pulls out this. This is a Costco membership card. Oh, sir, my mistake.
Sorry.
That's how she bribes her way out of Costco.
Sorry, my dick is huge. Is all I'd say after that.
Oh my God! Pardon me.
Toilet paper. My mom is an avid Costco goer,
obviously,
and we were having a conversation very similar to this. And I go, "Yeah, I just don't have a use for a Costco membership. I don't need to buy everything in bulk." She's like, "Oh, you don't have to buy everything in bulk," and like tells me how you don't have. Not everything's in bulk. I go downstairs in her basement, and there's just a wall of bulk everything: toilet paper, like paper towels. Like, wow, the point right here proven.
Yeah.
I don't need a Costco membership. I don't need a year's supply of
so you just treat her basement like your own personal Costco. Like, I'll take 2 rolls of toilet
I'm not
paper.
saying I mask up and go rob her house every other week, but yeah, if we got to, you got to.
You know what I love about Costco? You just walk in and you go, okay, I'd like some potato chips, some popcorn, an entire swimming pool, and that entire home video set up.
Yeah.
They got everything.
They've got really good golf clubs too, apparently.
Yeah, they do. Yes.
Furniture is really good. Apparently they got like couches.
You guys, Justin and I have been trying to share some of like the duties. And one of my big one is grocery shopping. I'm kind of obsessed with like food. And so he's been he's been taking more of that on. When he goes to Costco, I'll like send him there with like a list of 5 things. And I say, and then I'll write in the bottom, get yourself a treat, like pick one container treat thing. I have to limit him because he's a sugaraholic.
I feel so bad for Justin.
Okay.
I have from day one.
Okay.
Day one.
A 35-year-old child.
So
Justin,
I will
blink if you need help.
don't do it, Justin. I'll be home. He will literally, first off, I know it's going to take at least 2 hours. He likes to peruse and he'll send me the craziest things, like a picture of a trampoline. And he's like, it's only $3.99. And I'm like, get out of there. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm to the point where I don't even want to send him in the big car because the things he comes back with, I'm like,
oh yeah.
What? He's like, I don't know. I thought how many batteries do we need? I was like, 0. We need 0 batteries.
All I've heard from you is that Justin he's a homebody. He doesn't like to really go out as often as maybe like an extrovert as you maybe might want to and all this stuff. So you're telling me that his one hobby, it sounds like, is perusing Costco, and you can't even let him have that.
His hobby is going to Costco and spending money, or going to Golf Zone, the indoor
like simulator.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's a driving range that's heated in Shakopee that he's obsessed with. Oh, Tom, he's obsessed with it. Like literally to the point where he walks in and the guy goes, "You'll have your Pepsi?" And he goes, "I'll have my Pepsi."
Oh, look who's here.
So like,
what is this? Cheers?
Justin's lovely. He's the yin to my yang.
Let the man peruse.
I know. I was waiting for you to get mad at me. Did you see me pause?
Yep. Yin.
I know.
You do that on purpose.
I know, because I always stop and go, I know he's gonna get mad. Like, my yang.
You yin yang. What movie is that? What the hell are you looking for, you yin yang? What movie was that?
Doesn't it irk you that it's the yin yang twins? Doesn't that make you mad?
Of course. But everything makes me mad, so I settle right in.
Yeah.
You know how that goes. It's just how life goes. No question. Oh, I suppose we better take a break in a couple of seconds here. Well, I got a couple of minutes, I guess, but we have a guest coming up at about 10-2. So, no, I seriously, I never expected the first time I went into a Costco, I thought, oh my God, it's going to be, see, you guys are too young to remember places like, oh God, what were the names? Zare Shopper City, places like that.
Sounds fancy.
there was a place called Shopper City, and then before it was Bears, it was something else. It was somebody, blah, 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 Shopper City. And everybody in my neighborhood referred to it as Shitty City because it was. And I am not kidding you. I don't know what it was, the air freshener they used or what. I don't know what the hell it was.
Yeah.
But you could buy some crackers and you could buy a dozen hot dogs and then you could buy some horse meat. And it all tasted exactly the same.
Oh, no.
It smelled the same. I don't know what the hell that was, but it all tasted and smelled the same.
I got to get on that Aldi thing. I have trouble with Aldi. I've only went one time and it felt, I think I was in a weird mood and the organization of it felt a little chaotic, but my neighbor Priscilla swears by Aldi and the food she makes there is great. So
Aldi's great. Aldi's a good outfit.
I got to get back on the Aldi. And no hate to Sam's Club. I'm just in a Sam's Club desert in Eden Prairie that I don't have one. So,
yep. Well, look at all the wisdom we've passed along to listeners this morning.
Yeah. And I guess I talk a lot of shit about Justin. I'd like to apologize.
No, we like it, actually, to tell you the truth.
No problem.
Just
my wife does the same thing, so I'm used to it.
Perfect.
Brittany just like gives Justin a little pat on the head before he goes out to Costco. I'm like, get yourself one treat. Say it. One treat.
One treat is 8 months of treat. Okay.
Say it.
Because I kind of wanted to.
I like that. Say it.
Say it.
Here we go. All right, we do have to take a break for just a couple of minutes, ladies and gentlemen. About 9:50 this morning. Robert Carradine, yes, that Carradine family. The Night They Came Home. The film will be available in select theaters on demand and digital January 12th. So tomorrow, right? Yeah. Oh, God, today's the 11th. January's almost half over already. That's amazing.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So The Night They Came Home, we'll talk to Robert Carradine about that right after this.
This is the Tom Barnard Show. Listen live at tombernardshow.com or on the Tom Barnard Show app.
Tom here, and I want to discuss a partnership that has been wonderful in my life, Zero Res Carpet Care. Very good friends of mine. Nothing is better to someone with a family than having a completely clean home. Your carpet is the biggest filter in your house. If you want to talk about pet dander or foot traffic, dirt from the outside, they all eventually reside in your carpet. So, Zero Res Carpet Care. Listen, around the holidays, you need to contact ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZEROREZ. That's 952-ZERO-RES. They clean your home with their electrolyzed pH-elevated water that doesn't use chemicals or soaps that smell like a janitor's closet like other cleaning services. How about a Tom Barnard deal? Well, here it is. Get 3 rooms, zero resified, starting at $129, and don't forget your air ducts. Mention me, and they'll discount your air vents by $75 too. This is for the entire month, so call them right now, 952-0-RES, backward or forwarded, spells the same, or book online, ZeroResMinnesota.com. If it's available, ask for them to come to your place in the Tom Barnard named service truck. What an honor that was, by the way. Just mention me by name and get the special deal to get your home clean and your heart happy. Zero Res Carpet.
Is that text you're sending so important that you missed your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw and Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
You know the song Kokomo? It's supposed to be off the Florida Keys, right? Hate to break your Beach Boys bubble, but that's a fictitious place they made up for the song. Fortunately for the rest of us, the Florida Keys island chain are as real as the taxes you have to pay in Minnesota if you're a resident. Now that's a reason to move south. In addition to Florida and all of Monroe County being beautiful, the Keys from Key Largo to Key West are even more beautiful. This is Tom Barnard, part-time Florida resident myself. And if you want a second house or a new retirement home or want to become a Floridian, may I suggest you contact Matt Carlson from One Key West Realty. Matt grew up in Litchfield. He's a super real estate agent when it comes to finding your tropical island space in the Keys. He lives there and here, and Matt knows what's best in Key West to buy for your second home in Florida. Matt teamed up with fellow Minnesotan from Sartell and Alexandria, Kristyn Eklund, who's one of the top mortgage brokers in the country from Coast to Coast Mortgage. She'll get you the financing you need to buy a home in Florida or in Minnesota. Matt's part of the Lake Sotheby's International Realty Group here in Minnesota, and Kristyn, his mortgage colleague, lives and works in the Keys, so they both know the Florida Keys' new and existing homes for sale and are Minnesotan through and through. Contact them by heading to onekeywest.com.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. And you number 3.
Yep.
Wanted to make sure Andrew jumped in. Let me know when Robert's ready to go, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be about 5 minutes.
Oh, that's right. AJ just sneaks out. Oh, it's going to be 5 minutes.
Yeah, they're running 5 minutes behind today. So,
see, we're the only ones who never run behind. Have you ever noticed it? Because we're professionals. You see what I'm saying?
We do all right.
No.
Yeah,
it's so weird. I've never been through a situation where one of the members of your team, unless they were just, on 1 hour and that's just the way it was. But all of a sudden you look up and AJ's gone. It's like, what the hell? Oh, that's right. He leaves every day at this time.
He always says, "Tell Tom I love him." And he does a kiss. He goes, "Mwah."
Yeah, sure he does. Nice try.
Always does that.
Yeah, I believe that. I'm locked in now. I absolutely 100% believe that's true.
Oh, good.
So Andy hopped in. We just, I'm telling you, Andy, this new equipment, you got I have this new curved screen.
Yeah, he's got a curved gaming monitor.
Wow.
On super sale at Best Buy, and I was like, sure, why not?
There was one point where everybody thought that was going to be the new age, where the TVs were going to be curved. And
right. Yeah.
It lasted about a year, and everybody was like, "Yeah, it's really not that much better."
It's basically the same, but I mean,
it's just looking at it is kind of cool because it reminds me of being at a drive-in, because some of the drive-in screens were curved a little, not most of them, but some of them were.
Yeah.
Which was very, very cool. So Andy, we've been talking pretty much crap about everybody all day. So just, you can join in whenever you want.
Oh, well, all right then.
You got somebody wandering behind you, do you there?
Oh, Gelfan's here.
Oh, just lock the door.
I worked on locking the door. He is tricky.
I worked on locking the door. No, I don't know. What the hell were we just talking about before I saw that? Always makes me nervous. That's one thing about being here and then looking at the engineer, who is Tevin right now. It's usually where AJ sits. And whenever anybody moves behind him, I'm like, what's that?
Yeah. Or like there's recently, whether it was like a package getting delivered or they were doing some sort of work outside the door, and you'll hear them either like lock it, unlock it, or
right
like that. And I'm very vulnerable to not be facing the door.
I know. And I'm watching you do it. And it's like, who was that? Why are they moving? But as long as it's Gelfand, who is a criminal though, by the way.
Yeah.
Which felony are you referring to?
You.
Just my existence.
The existence of Gelfand.
Yeah.
Where the hell's your Detroit hat? What's the matter with you?
Well, I traded a stocking cap for it today.
A little chilly?
It's a little chilly out there. You wouldn't know.
That'll happen, ladies and gentlemen. The only reason I bring it up is because Andy's son, Ethan, if I'm not wearing a hat, he gets very angry and keeps going, hat. I have to wear a hat around him. Otherwise, he gets very upset.
It's like when I take my glasses off. He doesn't like that.
Oh, he doesn't like
just
that.
Keeps going, glasses.
Kids are so funny. Like Gogo has an obsession with hats too. Like I picked her from daycare in a hat and she just kept staring at it because normally that's dad. Dad wears a hat.
Yeah.
Like it's just funny how kids have their obsessions. I remember when my sister cut her hair and got bangs, and my nephews both balled uncontrollably.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What did you change for?
Yep. Change is bad.
That is true. I used to love that when I was a kid. That was a teenager, and your friends would all of a sudden show up with curly hair. It's like, what the hell is that?
It's trying to act like nothing's changed.
Exactly. And then you wanted curly hair.
Mm.
Yeah, well, my older brother Terry has naturally curly hair. Nobody else in the family does except for him.
Wow.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know why that is, but he has naturally very curly hair. which is after my mother's side, apparently. So the rest of us are Barnards. So we should, I suppose, if we're just going to keep in that Barnard strain, we'll just abandon our family sooner or later, right?
Well, one thing I discovered from my dad is that baldness skips a generation, as does a sense of humor.
Well, let me think about that. I got to be honest with you. In my family, that's pretty much true.
Yeah.
Because my grandma Minnie had a great sense of humor. My grandma Minnie, my mother's mother, was 6 feet tall, probably weighed about 150, and she wasn't fat. She was just a very big German woman.
Yeah.
But she had this magnificent sense of humor, which I just loved.
Yeah.
So we get together, we go up to Long Prairie and go up. She lived above the Gamble's store in Long Prairie. You guys probably, Gelfand would know, but the two of you, or the three of you actually, probably never even heard of Gamble's.
No.
It was a chain store across America, like in the 50s and 60s, Mike?
Yeah, I'd say that's about right. And I always wanted to go in there because gambling appealed to me even then.
So just the word Gamble's.
Yeah, I was ready.
Was enough for you.
That's
There's
another
no
thing that skipped the generation.
The gambling part?
Well, yeah, because on my mother's side, there were a lot of bookmakers. But on my dad's side, that wasn't the case.
All
the gangsters were on my mother's side.
That's so funny because they were on my mother's side too. That's weird.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then, I always wonder, my mother had a sense of humor. My dad did not. And people used to say to me, well, you must have gotten your sense of humor from your dad. And I'd say, what?
No.
No. My dad, if his sense of humor was he wanted to pretend that he had one, he wanted to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. So if I said to him, let's say I told a joke 10,000 dead attorneys. What do you call 10,000 dead attorneys, right? And the answer, of course, is a good start, right?
Good start, absolutely.
And then my dad wouldn't laugh, but he would say 20,000.
Oh, he beat you, did he?
Next level it. Exponentially.
God, it's so amazing how the world has changed, or the world continues to change, I suppose, because things come and they go and all the rest of it. God, yeah. I just saw that Soderbergh's closed on Lake Street. You guys know Soderbergh's the florist?
That's been there like 100 years.
105 years, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
But it strikes home because the very first time I went to a florist to buy flowers for a girl, I was kind of sweet on this young girl that lived down South Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. And I went and bought her a little bundle of flowers over at Soderbergh. So it tore my heart out to see their closing. I've lost my memory now.
No.
But yeah, that just by coincidence, she happened to live in South Minneapolis, so I went to Soderbergh's to buy fresh, because I wanted to have fresh flowers, But Soderbergh's was a great store. You guys ever been there?
Mm-mm. Nope. I've been to a florist, I think, one time in my life.
That was it? One florist? That's it. Was it Bachman's?
No, it was the local one in our town.
Oh, local one out there.
I've been to Bachman's a lot. We used to play poker above the Bachman's store on Franklin Avenue.
Oh, sure.
Because I knew one of the Bachmans, mm-hmm. and he so he had an apartment. He got an apartment above the Bachman store.
Really?
Yeah, and when that's where we'd play poker. But then after a while, he left the Bachman store, and he started working at a mortuary. And so he was the guy who did the night deliveries and pickups at the mortuary.
Oh God! You have deliveries from mortuaries?
He had to sleep there, at the mortuary. So he'd be on call, right?
That's way less cool to be above there. I mean, to sleep there than at Bachman's.
Yeah, yes. I was not willing to play poker at the mortuary.
Good for you. I didn't know you had standards.
I didn't know you had standards. That's nice.
Well, it wasn't really a standard. It was a phobia.
Yeah, I could see that.
I suppose that's probably true. I don't know. It just, that's kind of interesting as you go from generation to generation, all these stores you remember and things you remember. And, because, Mike, and I think you and I are of that generation. We're the last people who even knew what an F.W. Woolworth was.
Robert Carradine had to cancel.
Oh, he did?
He wants to be on, so he'll be on another day, but not today.
Yeah, the email says MIA, so I don't know if he's missing or what's going on.
No.
Yeah, he's not.
The publicist can't find Robert.
Well, that does happen with actors. You do know that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Actors kind of do that. That's too bad. Well, it's no big deal. Like I said, we had a magnificent interview this morning, and that's why you got to book. Yeah, well, booking double guests on this show is a great idea anyway, because I love to interview people. But you do hit that kind of stuff. They just don't show up once in a while. Just the way it is. But let's weigh this whole thing. So my left hand, I have Robert Carradine.
Mm-hmm.
In my right hand, I have Mike Gelfand. Who would you take?
Mike Gelfand every single
In
time.
a minute, in a second, right?
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Even
in
though
my
it's
mind.
obviously not genuine, I do appreciate it.
What do you mean it's obviously not genuine?
Who do you think I'd want to hang out with?
Well,
out of the two of you?
exactly.
No, Gelfand's the most interesting person that I've ever met, I think. Like our 5-minute car rides after the shows. The story
God.
of the good old days. Like Gelfand, I'm sure you've seen Nick Saban now and Belichick are all, no longer going to be coaching at their places they've been. Did you ever cover any big notorietable? Wow, we're making up words today. Notorious, whatever.
Yeah.
Like coaching changes like that, or seen any like big moves that you had to cover back in the day?
So many. It's hard to count them all. Yeah, covering baseball. Like I only covered baseball for like 3 years in a day, but even so, there were so many. Like I think I saw Billy Martin get fired and hired twice, just in those 3 years.
I got to mention such a Gelfand thing that you just did. Only you would say, I don't know what it was, but I think I covered sports for 3 years and a day. Well, apparently you do know.
Well, I actually covered sports for about 4.5 years, but only baseball for 3 years
and a day.
And then I just said, I'm not doing it anymore because I got kids now. So
wait a minute. Why did you want to stop covering baseball?
Well, I only meant to cover baseball for maybe a year or two.
Oh.
Because I never really wanted to be a sports writer because my dad had been a sports writer, and he made clear to me that he would be disgraced if I became a sports writer.
Oh, really?
He did not consider it to be a dignified profession.
But I have a question for you. Oh, finish.
But then I was on the City Hall beat. They put me on the City Hall beat because they knew I would hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way I could get off the City Hall beat was to go on the baseball beat.
Really?
Yeah. So there was just an escape. Yeah. But then I didn't have any kids when I started covering baseball.
I got to be honest with you, though. I'm a little upset with you because you're not more grateful to your father. Because if it weren't for your father's great advice, you'd have never had that wonderful friendship with Rod Carew.
That's right. Hey, if it people think like I have this grudge against Rod Carew just because he threatened to kill me every day. But I think that if he hadn't, I probably wouldn't be here today.
Yeah. Also,
exactly.
Like to them, that's a daunting thing. Like I've maybe had like one person go like, I want to kill you or whatever. But like what people don't know is that's a common occurrence with you. Like you, again, more than you could count kind of vibe. So it's not like you have a special place in your heart for that person.
Well, yeah. And considering all the death threats that we see day to day now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is that. But in those days, it was harder to get death threats. Now it's just a common thing.
Yeah.
They had to mail them or courier them over to you.
Well, in those days, everything was was more personal. Like I would not want to be a reporter today because you'd be getting all these death threats. But in those days, people would have to write you a letter.
Yeah.
And for some reason, people who read the newspaper almost never actually wanted to write anything, let alone a death threat.
Yeah.
So we always had the guy. Remember, we've talked about John, the guy who walked all around the city, and he had that stentorian voice, and he would start, he would get into these passionate monologues about how they say the yesterday was the coldest day on record. It wasn't the coldest day on record. 2004, and he'd go on like that. That was John, the guy who would send death threats, but nobody else would.
The old Star Tribune building that had the 650,000 papers a day. Remember that when they had that big billboard on top of the Star Tribune building?
And they still have for whatever reason, I think the Sunday paper still has like 400,000 subscribers.
Does it really?
Yeah.
But John was walking in front of the Star Tribune building. I was walking toward him, and he literally did not look at me. He did not even, no indication he even saw me. Let me put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
He's walking along, and all of a sudden he looks up, not at me, but just looks up and says, "Washington apples are the best goddamn apples in the world."
That's right.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, he would
What the hell is that?
Well, he had certain things he liked to talk about.
Yes.
Washington apples, one of them. The weather, the lies of the National Weather Service. That was another one.
Oh yes, yep.
Did Honeycrisp just blow his goddamn mind? Like, if he thinks Washington apples are good.
Well,
Think about it.
luckily for all of us, those fake University of Minnesota apples were not in existence then.
No, they were not.
And I can't stand those.
What's wrong with you?
Well, they're sickly sweet.
You don't like the Honey Crisps?
Oh, they're
No,
Honeycrisp
can't
are where
stand
it's
them. No,
at.
no. Give me a Macintosh any day.
Well, here's the real question. What is your opinion on the flavor of Red Delicious apples?
Okay.
Oh, Red Delicious. Well, they're not even apples. I don't know what they are.
They just exist. Like, if someone
Okay,
cut it up, I would
good.
eat one and go,
Yeah.
it didn't count as food. Like,
No.
they
Yep.
just exist.
They're just like they're designed to look pretty, not taste.
They do look pretty good.
They do
yeah.
look pretty.
They do. They look like your ideal apple, but yeah,
Snow
you bite
White
into
apple.
them. And,
Yeah.
it's like sawdust and water.
I guess call
So-
me old fashioned. There's really just two apple flavors, red and green.
Yeah, exactly.
They all taste kind of the same.
No, they do.
As
If,
far
if
as
you
the
like
red-
green apples, you're a sociopath.
Watch Granny Smiths are awesome.
Yeah, they're fine.
Biting into a green apple is, I would have to fall in Gelfand's world where I'm like, my teeth hurt. Like, it's so sweet.
You wouldn't like Ethan's latest hobby then.
What?
He will go over to the fridge and he'll point at it and he'll say, "Tongue." What he wants you to do is spray lemon juice into his mouth.
Tongue.
Yep.
What the hell? What is wrong with toddlers? They are terrifying.
No. So
And-
yeah, Granny Smiths don't have anything on just drinking lemon juice.
And I know Tom will appreciate this. I've always felt that God actually didn't make little green apples,
And it don't rain in Indianapolis in the summertime?
or didn't at one point didn't he say in Minneapolis?
In Indianapolis, at one point he did.
Yeah.
You're absolutely. He said Minneapolis. You're absolutely right. No
Yeah.
question about it. Look, back to John for one quick second, because it was one of the great moments of my life. My first day at Donaldson's Garden Room as a dishwasher.
Mhm.
I'm walking out to pick some. I was a busboy as well, walking out to get some dishes off a booth, and this man walks in, and it was one of my first days on the job. He walks in, sits down, orders his food, gets up, kneels down in front of the booth, and begins praying for his meal. That was John again. And he would do this, "In the name of the Father and the Son," and he do it very loudly so everybody could hear it.
Now, see, I only prayed before my meal when Bob Lundegaard forced me to go to lunch with him at the Powers Basement Cafeteria.
Oh my God, those were the days.
Oh yeah, 79 cents for chicken a la king.
Bob Lundegaard. What's that all about?
Well, Bob, Bob had a family to support, and so plus Bob was always sort of frugal.
I always liked him though.
A great guy. Well, sure, he befriended me when I was 18 years old. I'm working at the Daily. He's at the Temple of Journalism, the Minneapolis Tribune.
Sure. I understand. But, we had a lot. I suppose every town has their characters, though, that, there's that guy. Everybody knew John as that guy.
Yeah. Well, he was, of course, more than a character. He was mentally ill.
He was severely mentally ill.
Because every now and then he'd just disappear,
And
he usually he would basically wind up in University of Minnesota Hospital, Station 62.
And that was
the mental ward.
Mental ward. You know how I know that? Because one of his buddies in the ward at the time was my dad.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Well, there you go. There you have it. You know what, though? Looking back at that, the The little things about your life growing up. John was one of the little things that I never regretted. Meeting a man that mentally ill who tried to function by talking to himself constantly.
Yeah, I felt like I had joined a very exclusive fraternity.
Yeah.
First time I ever got a hate mail from him.
You got hate mail from John?
Yeah, when I was working at the.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, and I call it hate mail because not only was it fairly clearly threatening, but the anytime he struck the O letter, there would be that he would punch a hole through the round part of it. It's like it would just go right through there.
What the hell? It all works out in the end. So, Mike, I got to ask you. About 5 minutes into a break here, but I got to ask you, what did you think of the NFL moves this weekend, or this week, I should say?
Well, I think most of them were just inevitable, right?
Yeah.
There were any shockers? People focused on bellicose, as I call him.
Bellicose, very nice.
Bellicose, and because after all, he's more than a coach. He is an institution. He also was the coach of a really horrible team, and things weren't getting any better for him. Let's face it, without Brady, he was less Steckel without Brady.
Oh my God, that's harsh.
Yeah, I know it is. It's meant to be.
Testicle. Remember that? He got so pissed off at me because I called him Tess.
It was less Steckel.
Steckel, and I just called him Testicle.
Yeah. He had a lot of problems to deal with.
He did. What was that whole deal about? Didn't he do something where he ripped his shirt open or started? He was yelling, or he acted really weird and thought it was a good way to give some support to his troops. What was that?
He had the what did he call it? He had the something camp where he was going to show everyone that this team was macho.
Yep.
But on the field they weren't really macho. It's the problem.
That team was terrible.
He might have been the worst coach ever, right, for the Vikings?
Possibly. He only lasted 1 year, didn't he?
Was it only one? It seemed longer.
Was Les Steckel, was he the coach? The camp you're talking about essentially they're playing a bunch of random, American Gladiator type games to prove who was the toughest guy on the team.
Yes.
A bunch of guys got hurt. Yeah. That was a disaster.
Why would you do that?
You don't do that.
No,
there's no reason.
He showed that. Well, now of course, now you do it, but now it turns into a cable show.
Yeah,
I suppose that's probably true. I never watch those shows anymore. They still got all these shows about this and that, and this. We're locked on an island, or we're locked in a house, or are those supposed to be reality shows? I know they call them.
Mm-hmm.
I've never watched those. Are they any good?
No, the problem with those is when they first came out and it was all organic, it was really good. And now you have people that go on there because they just want to play the bit to be famous.
Yeah,
100%.
They know how to play the game, and they go into it with their motives and all that stuff. And so it's not as good, but you can appreciate it for what it is. And I would say it's an easy watch.
So you can just sit back. You really don't even have to pay attention, is what you're saying.
People always say that, but I have that disease where I don't like to not pay attention. I don't care how bad a show is. If I'm watching it and my husband tries to start a conversation, I'm always like, I would like to watch this, but because I either give it all my attention or none. I don't do well with the passive TV on.
Yeah, I never understood that either. That people had their TV on in their house, but nobody was watching it.
Yeah, that's not our house. We are very intentional watchers.
I would imagine anything new coming out, because we've got Kristyn Burt coming up in just a couple of minutes here, so we could do a precursor.
I want to ask her about the now we've had about 5 days now since the Jo Koy disaster. Jo Koy, non-Jo Koy. And I'm wondering if the folks in Hollywood are starting to forgive him, or are they just still piling on? I'm sure you guys have talked about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. And then also they just came out with the SAG, the Screen Actors Guild Awards, had their nominations out, and that's SAG and Golden Globes are kind of the first step to the big marathon to the Oscars. And it kind of gave us an indication of, with the two shows, what's going to be Oscar worthy.
It's really sad though, because Jo Koy in person is a really nice guy.
Is he?
He's just a great. I haven't seen him in a few years now, but he used to come in the studio once in a while, do the show. I mean, you remember having Jo Koy in, don't you, Andy?
Yeah, that was he was like one of the first. He had to have been in the first year of the show.
Yeah, that's what, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
That's about right. Really, really nice guy. So I hadn't seen him in the last few years. So he must have changed a bit, because I couldn't see the Jo Koy that I knew start bad mouthing everybody because, they're only laughing at my jokes. I didn't ever see him doing that.
See, that was where he went wrong. Up until then, he was just your normal failure.
We understand.
It was a horrible gig.
Yeah.
And where he went wrong was when he said, as you mentioned, where he said, the jokes you're laughing at, I wrote those. And then the jokes you're not laughing at, those were written by my writers. Two things wrong with that. One, of course, you never throw your writers under the bus.
Yeah. Right.
The other thing is what jokes they were laughing
I know.
at.
I was still waiting for those.
There were none.
No, I suppose. Like I said, Kristyn's going to be up in a couple of minutes, but I do want to ask you guys, I don't understand why this whole Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy Kimmel thing happened. Was that a scam? Was that all teed up to draw attention?
I don't believe so, because late last night he was actually dropped by ESPN in the Pat McAfee show. So
I saw that.
Yeah, making appearances.
Well, he's a prick. They should drop him. Yeah. He is not a nice person. There's no.
He's never has been. This is not anything new. Yep. If you asked him a question like, man, if you said, that was the greatest game I've ever seen any quarterback play, what happened with the interception? Then he would just glare at you hatefully, like like anything you said that might not be interpreted as basically worship. He would just become outraged. He's just a jerk.
He really is. But the problem I have, of course, is how can I hate? Well, I don't hate Rodgers because I never met him. That's not true. I did meet him one time for a brief period, and he was an arrogant asshole.
Yeah.
But the problem I have is he's not funny, but neither is anybody on late night television. Jimmy Kimmel, whatever that other one's name is, Stephen Colbert. Those shows are not funny in the least anymore. What happened?
Well, I mean, I think it's all about the writers anyway.
Yeah, true.
I mean, there's anyone who thinks that the hosts of those shows are sitting around all day finding jokes.
Right.
No, that's not going to happen.
Probably never written a joke in their lives.
No, Jimmy Kimmel he's very good at delivering the jokes. And if the jokes are funny, then he's funny. But yeah, no, the problem with Colbert is he's just, it's just the same thing every single night.
Yep, sure is.
Yeah,
it's been going for, God, like 12 years or something?
Yeah,
like how long can you do the same thing?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Now, the other Jimmy, there's been a lot of news lately about how he shows up about 25% of the time drunk to do the show.
Fallon?
Jimmy Fallon, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they had a big...
I did not know that.
Yeah, a big expose about him. It actually came out during the writer's strike. So it kind of, Tom, it's actually amazing you remember that, because it was very systematic the way they dealt with it, and they kind of hid it. And there was a whole article writing up that the whole concept is it was very Ellen DeGeneres-esque, where you walk in and you don't know what you're walking into. It was either good Jimmy or bad Jimmy. Wow. And his mood dictated everything. He drank all the time.
I had no idea.
And so he went and did some video thing addressing it, saying that he feels bad. But again, all of this during the strike. And then it was never brought up ever again.
Yeah, there was the Rolling Stone did a report on it where they got like 14 former employees. Yeah, that kind of aired everything out. And like they were saying, right, as Brittany said, where some days were good days where he was full of wit and charm and creativity were on full display, and other days were bad Jimmy days.
Well, as long as he's not dropping ketamine with Elon Musk, I'm okay with it.
And you're okay. You're good to go. Elon Musk, how's he doing?
I think he's fine.
I wouldn't worry about him. but there's been a lot of talk lately about the fact that he is basically using every recreational drug known to man.
So would I.
Well, the ketamine thing is taking it a step too far.
Yeah, ketamine's nasty stuff.
No, but ketamine is one of the most popular things to microdose right now that they will give to people in depression. So it's like a small enough dose that they even have at home.
Yeah,
yeah, but that kind of sounds like, I only need one beer to feel good. Oh, well, maybe two. Maybe two will make me feel good. Oh, maybe three will make me feel good today.
It's not long term. So the people I know, because I know one person who dealt with depression and an eating disorder and was on ketamine therapy.
Yeah.
It's not long term. Like you wouldn't use it every day. And it's
it's not long term when you're on the therapy, but is it long term when you're a billionaire who can get as much as you want?
Oh, hell yeah. If I was a billionaire, Andy, I would be on every drug.
Because he's just dropping it,
Yeah, exactly. He's probably just like taking I don't know. How do you even administer ketamine?
Well, what they do is it's intravenous.
Okay.
When they're it's still very much in an experimental phase. But,
yeah.
Right.
But they're finding some people seem to be some people seem to be improving when they take it. These are people who are really hardcore depressive.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also I had a friend who took every kind of drug there was. And this guy said to me, he said, I will take every kind of drug out in the street, but not Special K.
Really?
That's the drug that even hardcore addicts who these are people who will sniff aerosol, right?
Oh, yeah.
But they won't take Special K.
Well, the thing about ketamine is that if you take just a little too much, you start to dissociate.
Right.
And that I understand is an extremely unpleasant experience.
That's what it is. It's a dissociative drug. And and it'll just freak people out.
We have to take a break because speaking of Special K,
I see what you did there.
Kristyn Bird will join us right after this.
This is the Tom Barnard Show.
Tom here, and I want to discuss a partnership that has been wonderful in my life, Zero Res Carpet Care. Very good friends of mine. Nothing is better to someone with a family than having a completely clean home. Your carpet is the biggest filter in your house. If you want to talk about pet dander or foot traffic, dirt from the outside, they all eventually reside in your carpet. So, Zero Res Carpet Care. Listen, around the holidays, you need to contact ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZEROREZ. That's 952-ZERO-RES. They clean your home with their electrolyzed pH-elevated water that doesn't use chemicals or soaps that smell like a janitor's closet like other cleaning services. How about a Tom Barnard deal? Well, here it is. Get 3 rooms, 0 resified, starting at $129. And don't forget your air ducts. Mention me, and they'll discount your air vents by $75 too. This is for the entire month. So call them right now, 952-0-RES, backward or forwarded, spells the same, or book online, ZeroResMinnesota.com. If it's available, ask for them to come to your place in the Tom Barnard named service truck. What an honor that was, by the way. Just mention me by name and get the special deal to get your home clean and your heart happy. Zero Res Carpet Care. Why should your business bank with North American Banking Company? Here's Landon and Gavin Miller of D&B Plating.
I've always been impressed with their speed of answers to our questions, and that has allowed us to expand and capitalize on opportunities in the market.
North American Banking Company has never made us feel like a number. They've always treated us as a partner.
For more information about North American Banking Company, go to nabankco.com or stop by any one of their Twin Cities locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. You have all helped support MyPillow and their employees in these tough economic times. Mike Lindell knows this and continues to give back to listeners with great deals on his most popular products. Right now, you can save 50% on Queen and King pillows and the original My Slippers, and the MyPillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock. The proprietary technology makes them extremely absorbent, yet still provides that soft feel you look for in a towel. Set comes with 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. Regular price is $79.98, and for a limited time, you can get this 6-pack towel set for only $39.99 with promo code TOM. That's a 50% savings. So go to MyPillow.com, use promo code TOM to save 50% on the MyPillow 6-pack towel sets. That is just $39.99 for a set.
This deal will not last long. Enter promo code Tom for this special and many more.
The Tom Barnard Show is proud to have partners like North American Banking Company, Bradshaw and Bryant, and attorney and advertiser Dave Bielke.
I've been advertising on Tom Barnard shows for years. I like Tom, not just because he's a good guy, but because the ads I run on his show bring me new clients that are hurt at work and need legal help. Tommy B works for me.
If you'd like to find out more about growing your business with the Tom Barnard Show, go to TomBarnardShow.com, keyword partner.
I don't know what they mean by unruly attitude. I really don't understand that at all.
I don't understand at all either.
It's unbelievable. No question about it. Ladies and gentlemen, Kristyn Bird Entertainment News is brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. What's that crabby face?
Who's crabby?
You got this crabby. He's like,
I'm not crabby. I was actually just like, take it to the limit one more time. It's a good groove.
Are you wearing your Viking purple?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. I was like, oh, Minnesota Vikings. I'm like, more like Lakers purple. I'm from LA.
I would say so, yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Of course, you stole that from Minnesota too. But other than that, don't worry about it.
That is true. That is, they were originally Minnesotan.
Like I said, Los Angeles Lakers makes no sense at all.
It could be like the Oceaneers or something.
Yeah, the Oceaneers. That'd be good.
Yeah, that's the only thing worse is the Utah Jazz.
The Utah Jazz. I will never.
Yeah.
You could bring Jazz to Utah.
Not a lot of jazz in Utah, I don't think. No.
But there's a lot of dance in Utah, so it could be jazz dance.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah. You're
It
right.
all connects.
Yeah.
Well, Kristyn, I mean, it continues. I keep watching these new shows. I'm telling you, I'm sorry. I know I said this quite often, but streaming is phenomenal. God, there's so many great things on streaming. What you been watching anything special?
Oh my goodness. I'm actually covering a reality show right now because I'm going to an event tomorrow. Traders. I'm sure Brittany knows it. Tevin, you might know it. I don't know. But nope. They're doing a whole event for season 2, and I get to find out whether I am a traitor or a faithful. And I get to play the game tomorrow night. What
game is this?
It's a reality show called Traders.
Traders.
Yeah.
Traitors.
I have major problems with the show. I watched season 1. I know that they've done it in another country, but season 1 here in the U.S. What U.S. syndicated, but there's no way of figuring it out. Like they don't do any hints. So literally they'll have, let's say 10 people and then they'll have 2 traders. You just have to, they just argue. Mm-hmm. And there's no because I want there to be like clues and them to have to figure it out. But literally it's like if we all met in a circle and of course, what would you say? I'm not a traitor. Well, I'm not a traitor. And then they will just say it because of character traits. Well, you kind of are known for being sneaky. What?
Because these are well-known reality stars too, we should say, who are in the cast.
Okay.
For season 2, at least. Season 1, they mixed it up with regular people and reality stars. But this season, it's all reality star villains and people who are well-liked. So you kind of have to figure it out. But I'm going to get to play the game tomorrow night. And I'll let you guys know if I was a traitor or a faithful.
Won't we know because it'll be all over the news?
I don't think so.
No.
No, they're doing. This is a private event. They're like, we're doing it at a private mansion in Mid City. I know, but I'll be interested to see because they assign you your role. So I'll be curious to see what they assign me.
Unless they change up the way that game is played, I have no interest watching everybody just assume and fight in a circle without any clues or hint or availability. It's literally like Among Us. Do you remember? Did you ever play that, Andy?
Yeah. I just said that in the chat. I said, this sounds like Among Us.
Yeah, it's exactly like Among Us where everybody shows up and is like, and at least Among Us, well, I mean, you still just lie constantly. So it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, you need clues, I think, to keep the audience engaged. I think that's maybe you should produce the show.
Well, I guess the idea is that most people are actually not very good at lying, because they'll end up getting lost in their own web kind of situation. So it's like you wait for them to out themselves but I don't know. Reality stars feel like the kind of people who would be really good at lying because they're sociopaths.
Yeah. And
there are some.
The only thing they have to lie about is their title. So they don't have to defend any action like I have this whole theory that when they play these games, so they play these games to like put money in the bank, like they work together. I feel like the traders should have to like sabotage the goal.
Yeah.
And then have to deny why, like, oh no, it's because my ankle hurt. That's why I couldn't get as many points for us.
Yep.
Creates more mystery.
Yeah, but literally it exists. The whole game is they all are banking money and together. And so the only thing they need to lie about at this table is they sit and go, I'm not a traitor. I'm not a traitor. And everyone just yells that in a circle and then they pick someone.
Do they vote people off? Like at the end of it, does every one person get the money or is it a group of people?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I can hardly wait.
I know. But I did watch season 1. I feel like it was like on the tail end of the pandemic. So I was like, fine, I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'll do it. But yeah, I'm a horrible liar. So if I'm a traitor, I'm going to be like, I'm not a traitor. I laugh when I lie. So that's my tell.
I like that.
So I don't lie because all I do is start giggling. I mean, and I don't, when you try and not laugh, you're like, I'm totally telling the truth.
I love it.
It
Great
doesn't
outfit,
work.
Tom.
Doesn't work.
I suppose not. You know, it's a difficult thing right now is to keep up with shows. We've been watching a lot of shows. Catherine, when I say we, I mean Catherine and me, watch a lot of different shows. And all of a sudden you realize, we haven't watched The Righteous Gemstones in like 2 months.
Yeah.
You forget about shows. Then you go back and go, why did I ever forget about this? Show is phenomenal.
I don't know how. See, I'm a binge watcher, so I need to just plow through. So I don't know how you leave a show and come back because I would have to keep on doubling back going, what happened in the last 2 or 3 episodes? Yeah. And I know you drop shows and then you come back to them.
Yep.
Is that tough?
Yeah, no, because we don't do it on purpose. You just all of a sudden, all this new great stuff is coming along. Like I said, the History of the World in 6 glasses is brand new. So we started watching that. Catherine is really good at finding shows to watch. She digs pretty deeply.
I keep like a running list of like what I need to watch or what I want to watch. And like, I guess I'm just very type A. I'm like, I have to finish the show and then I can move on to the next one. Otherwise I go crazy.
Yeah, that's how I am. Like right now I'm trying to finish Jack Ryan so I can move on to something else. Like,
yeah.
No, that does make sense. And again, Michael Bryant, I will never forget this. He said, you got any funny shows that you watch? He said, yeah, there's this great one on Freevee. You should watch this show. He watched all 6 seasons of it in one weekend.
That blows my mind. That is not a life I'm living right now at all. I'm like Tom. We skip around. I forget things exist. We watch something like once every 2 weeks.
6 seasons is a huge commitment. And are you even going to the bathroom? Like, is there time?
No.
I worry about an attorney who does that. It's like, you know what? I'll give the final argument later.
I gotta finish my show. I'm binging.
I mean, honest to God, though, that would be like 150 episodes.
You're not going to bed. You're barely getting a snack. I mean, are you hydrated? That's what I want to know.
Oh, drop dead watching a TV show. There you go.
Yep.
That works for me. I do have friends that do. Well, Bob Sansevier is another one. Mm-hmm. I told him about season 4 of what the hell is that show called again? Fargo. Mm-hmm. Written by local Minnesotans. They were supposed to be on one time, but they dropped the show because somebody told them that I was a prick or something. I don't know what it was.
Oh, no.
And how did the word get out?
I don't know. I finally
What did you do, Tom?
Yes, I must have done something. There's no question about it. I didn't agree with someone's politics, so I was a horrible, evil human being. I do love that about Minnesotans. Unless you agree with 100% of what I say, I don't like you.
It is true.
Minnesotans are very much like that. It's hilarious.
I think when you get to know people, wherever you go, people always say, well, like you're not considered a true native unless you've been there for 80 years. It's that way pretty much everywhere.
I suppose that's
definitely.
True, yeah.
People are insular. That's all.
Oh yeah, wasn't it your I'm not going to say his name, but does your friend down here still call you a Yankee? Because I remember he used to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we've been living down here for what 20-something years now. Not on not
coming
straight.
Visiting 27 years.
Yeah, we're still Yankees,
and he still calls me a Yankee. It's like what?
Yeah, I know West. I literally know West Palm Beach better than I know pretty much any city in Minnesota because I walk around it, and
I've told this story before, but I don't think I've ever told Kristyn this story. The guy he's talking, his first name is Johnny. That's the guy's real name, and he graduated from Alabama University.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. So everything was Roll Tide hats, Roll Tide
Yep,
T-shirts.
he's the reason I know you even know the phrase "Roll Tide."
Exactly. But on his golf bag, it just said Bama. It wasn't room to put Alabama on there, so it just said Bama.
Mhm.
And he's pretty far righty. His politics are pretty conservative. And some smart ass at the golf course found an O, put glue on it, and put it in front of Bama, so his bag said Obama.
Now that's funny.
That is funny.
That is very funny.
I will never forget it as long as I live. It said Obama for about a year on his golf bag.
That's hilarious.
Oh, he was a piece of work, though. Johnny, yeah, Johnny's. How would you describe Johnny, Andy?
Very Southern.
Very Southern. Well, he's from Alabama. That's true. He's an Alabama boy, so whatever works. But in any case, getting back to the entertainment world, are people able to the average person? I don't know how they do. Do they pick a few shows, watch them, and then move on? Because Catherine and I have I would guess right now, about 20 shows we watch.
Yeah, I just like to
was
keep a list.
Yeah, exactly.
20. That's a lot of shows.
20 shows is a lot. Honestly, I only watch because during the week my job is covering TV and movie and stuff.
Yeah,
Like I'll watch what I need to watch for work, and on weekends it's for pleasure. So during the week, I'm not watching TV after 5 o'clock if I don't have to. You know,
Yeah, I understand
I
that.
go and it's like I go out and get some fresh air, go work out, like go to an event or something else like that. Where I think the average person that's not in the entertainment industry is probably more apt to turn on the TV after a day
Yeah.
of work.
Oh, I think that's probably true because I don't do television. I enjoy television. I suppose if I worked in television, I would not enjoy it as much.
And I work. I mean, I watch less television than I did 5 years ago. That's for sure.
Mhm. Oh,
I
really?
watch, even though there's a lot of quality, it's quality over quantity. I think that's where I'm at in terms of television viewing. And I just think like I'd rather be outside and away from tech, because I'm staring at a screen all day, whether it's my phone
yeah.
or whether it's a laptop. So I don't want to look at another rectangle.
Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense. Is it unusual? And it's not an intentional thing. It just, Catherine and I tend to like the same shows. Like she finds shows on British television and we watch those. And I love the shows on British. Every show she picks, I go, yeah, that's a really good show. Is it unusual for a husband and wife to pretty much like this? I mean, there are a couple of things she does and a couple of things I do that we don't watch together. But mostly we enjoy the same type of programming. Is that unusual?
I don't watch the same things as Bill, for sure. I mean, he'll spend his whole night watching Star Trek or Marvel or something else like that.
Yep.
Where my shows are probably more of like chick things. You know what I
Chick
mean?
things.
Yeah, I'd rather watch like a Sex in the City and Emily in Paris or something like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel type of situation. He will watch those with me. Where I will just completely go off and do something else if he's got Captain Picard on.
So it's all about you.
Pretty much, yeah.
There you
But
go.
I'm the attitude like I don't want to do something that isn't enjoyable. And watching
Yeah.
Picard isn't enjoyable for me. So I want him to enjoy a show in peace and I can go off and do something else.
It's really funny you bring that up because I loved Star Trek, but I didn't like any of the other Star Treks.
Well, which Star Trek? So you like the original
Captain
Star Trek?
Kirk,
With
baby.
Kirk, the super cheesy one.
Super cheesy. That's what I loved.
He's
it 'cause
good.
it was very
Shatner.
cheesy.
Shatner's great. And Leonard Nimoy.
Actually, he's such a great guy. I haven't talked to William now, and I used to interview him about 4 or 5 times a year.
He's
but I haven't talked to him in a long
delightfully
time.
crabby
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
and funny. He is
Wasn't he like 117 now?
He's about 90, isn't he?
90, I think. Yeah, he's in his 90s. And he used to, when
92.
he is good friends with Tom Bergeron. So when Tom Bergeron
Right.
was hosting Dancing with the Stars, he would live tweet Dancing with the Stars. I'm talking about William Shatner. And it was hilarious the way he would sort of judge the dances. It was the best form of entertainment. It was actually better than watching the show.
I got to ask you. I've never asked anybody this, but Kristyn Bird is the person to answer this. Because when I first watched America's Funniest Home Videos, when Tom Bergeron was the host.
No, we watched it well before he was.
No,
the
I'm
host.
just talking I'm talking about him.
Like when he was
Bob
forced to
Saget.
host. Yeah, because we watched the Bob Saget years when I was a kid. I remember that.
There's no question about it.
And then we quit during those 2 awful ones.
Oh, and they had the couple do it?
Yeah.
That was horrendous.
They weren't good.
But Tom Bergeron used to come on the old Q show all the time and he'd laugh and joke and have a great time. And then all of a sudden, toward the end of his run, he got real owly and weird and hard to deal with. What the hell was that all about?
I don't know because I've never had any problems with him.
I think he was
enjoy him.
auditioning for a role on the old morning show.
Oh, there you go. Method acting.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. You're probably right. Yeah. Toward the end, the last time I ever interviewed him, I remember we were talking about something and then got distracted by something else. No big deal for about 1 minute. And he goes, "Are you ever going to come back to me or is the interview over?" I'm like, "What?"
Maybe you caught him on a bad day.
Yeah, maybe I caught him on a real bad day because I never talked to him again. It's like,
Oh, you should
why
have.
you-
He's really a good interview because he's got so many
He
good
is.
stories.
Yep.
And to me, he's one of the best live television hosts out there.
He was great on that show. There's no question. But did he quit or did they get rid of him?
Oh, that's a story. That's a whole
Yeah,
bit of gossip.
there you go.
Well, he quit America's Funniest Home Videos, but he
Mhm.
was fired from Dancing with the Stars.
Because he didn't like one of the guests or something?
He did not like Sean Spicer. Who,
Oh, there you go.
Well,
yeah,
who did?
nobody. I mean, well, here's the thing too. I think what happened, what got him like really upset, and I get it. He sat down at the time. Andrew Linares was the executive producer of Dancing with the Stars. He sat down with him and the head of casting, which is Dina Katz, before the show even started. This was season 28, and just said, they were like, "Hey, what type of celebrities would you like to see on the show?" And he said, "You know what? We're in the middle of a really tough political landscape. People on both sides don't want to be reminded of politics. Like, let's not cast a political contestant so people can
Right.
just enjoy 2 hours in the ballroom and go on." So they said, "That's a great idea. We won't do that." So he goes to Good Morning America where they announce the cast and out pops Sean Spicer. So they totally blindsided him with Sean Spicer's casting. And from a television producer perspective, that's great TV because you knew that Donald Trump was going to tweet about it. Sean
Yeah.
Spicer was a terrible dancer who stayed far too long because people were voting for him because Donald Trump was tweeting, and it generated headlines each and every week, which as a TV producer, you want because you want to satisfy your advertisers, but it didn't really satisfy the audience. They were really upset.
But didn't
And
people love to hate him?
no, I mean, a lot of people just hated him. I mean, it
No.
really was a contentious season. It wasn't pleasant at all. Because but it's funny because Dancing with the Stars has a more conservative audience, but the hardcore, passionate viewers are very liberal. It's weird how politics like plays into certain things. And Tom never spoke to the executive producer like all season long. They fought. And Aaron Andrews, who was the co-host at the time, was very good friends with Tom. And Tom said, "I knew at the end of the season I was getting fired." He cleaned out his dressing room, which he had never done, and he didn't get fired. But they had hired Tyra Banks in January following the season, and they didn't let Tom know until about June, about 6 months later, that he didn't have his job.
I have a question for you. Why do people get so upset with someone's politics they don't agree with? I'm going to be on a show with Sean Spicer. I don't agree with his politics. What the hell do I care? I'm never going to see him again.
Well, you have to spend 10, 11 weeks with this person and interact
So
with them.
what?
And you know what? It just at the time, you have to remember this is during Donald Trump's presidency when everyone had an opinion. You either loved him or you hate him. There was no in between. It was frustrating. It was frustrating for the viewers too, because nobody wanted to talk politics. Nobody. On a
What-
dance show, you don't.
Did he talk politics on the dance show? I never
He
watched.
did. He had to because every week you have like packages. So it talks about his time in Washington and his
okay.
rise through there's you hear about his background every single week, and you have Donald Trump inserting his opinion every single week. It
Mhm.
wasn't good for the show. It wasn't good for the fan base. And eventually the executive producer got fired because he tanked the show. So
I really don't understand people's, Mike Gelfand and our politics are nothing alike. Don Shelby is on the opposite end of, I love both of them. They can have their own opinion. That it's not the same opinion as mine, but it's only politics. And it's not like Don Shelby, Mike Gelfand, and Tom Barnard can reach out and pull a lever and go, okay, that's over. Just get over it. Just because you don't agree on politics, you have different lives, different experiences. Relax.
But listen, I will say to your point that if you have a political guest on that, say, one of us didn't agree with, they're on for 20 minutes. They're on for 10 minutes. They're on for the entire show. But next day we move on to something else. Dancing with the Stars, Sean Spicer kept popping up every single week. So it's like a reminder constantly.
So who cares?
People care because this fan base is super passionate and super invested. And it made a lot of people tune out and they lost a lot of viewership because of it.
Oh, did they really?
They did, yeah.
Is that a one-side thing where one political group tends to bail faster than the other one, or do they both bail at the same time?
They both bail.
Do they?
Bail. Yeah, they do.
I don't understand why people get so wound up in politics because you're never going to get everything you want. It's never going to happen.
It's a different landscape. It's a very different landscape. And I think, even though the Golden Globes on Sunday night wasn't the best in terms of humor, it was lovely that politics wasn't mentioned.
Right.
We didn't hear that discourse one bit. And I think for a lot of viewers, it was refreshing. So I think people just don't want politics shoved in their face. They want to keep DC in DC and Hollywood in Hollywood.
Well, I understand that, but Hollywood doesn't do that. Hollywood is very political.
Well, and they have never cast another political contestant after Sean Spicer because they realized it was a mistake.
Yeah, I don't get that involved in politics or any presidents or governors or whatever. But look, I got to be honest with you. I look at most politics right now on both sides and go, you people are worthless. I mean, they're just not good people. So why would I get upset by that?
Well, why do I want them on my entertainment shows then? I want them in Congress doing their job.
No, I understand. I understand. I don't know why a guy like that would go on. I suppose he wanted the people to know who he was.
He makes money. He went home with like $285,000 to lose some weight and appear on television every single week. And he wasn't really working at the time. He was doing, I think some Fox News pundit stuff, but he wound up, I think, then going to, where is he now? Newsmax. He wound up getting his Newsmax job after that. So
he probably wasn't really, he wasn't getting a lot of phone calls those days.
No, definitely wasn't, because he was out of the White House at that point. And, maybe he was doing some public speaking, but it sometimes offers, it's a reminder to people who might hire you. And now he has his own show on Newsmax. So it probably paid off for him in the end.
Yeah, I could see that. Like I said, I've never understood the extreme political views things where you end up not liking someone because of their politics. It's like, I don't care who you vote for. Good for you. Right?
I don't know. Sean Spicer was,
yeah,
I covered him. No, I covered him. And he was, listen, I interviewed him. He was very nice. He was grateful to be there. I think he enjoyed the experience. His pro that he danced with, Lindsay Arnold, was good to him. Her, I think, mother-in-law died during the season and his father had just died. So I know that he helped her through a lot. But just from, the optics of it were tough for viewers. That's all.
But you have to understand, you're still talking about it. So it worked.
Yeah, but it didn't work.
It worked and it didn't work. That's exactly
it worked and it didn't work. It worked in a PR perspective for the season. It didn't work for the show in the long run.
I have to admit, my politics obviously are nothing like his, but I never watched that show ever, except that I would watch him just to see him fail.
See, there
you were hate watching, Mike.
Yeah, I was hate watching. Yeah.
I have a hilarious photo of me interviewing him, and he's in this lime green. It's neon too. It's just so bright. And it's ruffled and it's satin. And he was like, I don't know. I think he had like a salsa or something the first week. And man, it's quite the photo.
Have they ever done that before? Has a political figure ever appeared on another game show before? I don't even
Dance
know.
with the Stars has had people for sure. They had Tucker Carlson did it. People should go to YouTube and watch Tucker Carlson sit in a chair because he couldn't dance and his pro danced around him.
Really?
Oh yeah. It was in, I think, season like 2 or 3. It is so bad. And he's just sitting there in his khakis and a bow tie.
Yeah, that's a metaphor though, right? That says it all. I got along well with Pat Sajak.
He's a good guy.
How about
Yeah,
the
he's very far
He's very
right.
conservative. Yeah.
how about the example of a politician being on a show like that? Sock it to me.
That was funny.
That
That
was
was
great
Richard. That was on the Laugh-In?
Laugh-In, yep.
And yeah.
Sock it to me.
He obviously had no idea why it was funny either.
No, he was just told to say it, and
Yeah.
he did it, and he probably left the studio immediately after.
Oh, and Rick Perry was on Dancing with the Stars too. There's a famous meme of him like skipping around the dance floor because he was also a bad dancer. Politicians are terrible dancers in general.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either.
Well, yeah,
by that.
because that's because they're so uptight. You know, they can't relax even for a moment. You have to be willing to make a fool of yourself if you're going to be a good dancer.
That's true.
Yep.
Because if dancing can look cool, but it also looks stupid. It's cool and stupid at the same time.
Yeah. If you lean into it and learn to ballroom dance, you look amazing.
Yeah.
But if you're kind of that halfway in between,
Yeah.
it's a hot mess.
And you have to trust your partner. No politician's ever going to trust anyone.
And it depends on what partner you get too, because some of them are better than others at choreographing to your level of skill level.
You know, I was just thinking about the politicians in Minnesota. You know that I've gotten so far away from caring about stuff like that. I don't even know who most of them are. That's
Yeah,
not a
me
good
either.
thing. Do you think?
I don't know. Why not?
Yeah, some people, that's all they do is they take the political temperature every day. Whereas I'm at the point where it's like, whatever. Most of the people, you know, I just, I do vote because I think it's your duty, or I don't know if about a duty, but you've earned the privilege to vote. So I do think you should vote all the time. And that's as far as my politics go. I don't give a rat's ass how far right or left you are. I couldn't care less. What are you going to do? Right? What are you going to do to me?
I'm going to go in the voting booth and force your hand. That's what I'm going to do.
I'm going to force your hand to vote my way. But I think part of that, and Mr. Gelfand will understand this, part of that was I've been asked so many times to endorse people. And then when I do, they never talk to me again. It's like they use you and go away. That's why I don't give a rat's ass about Democrats or Republicans.
I would never endorse anyone, honestly, because
No, I understand.
even if you vote for them 2 years down the line, they're going to disappoint you somehow. So
No doubt.
that's why I would never endorse someone.
No, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, I've met some politicians that were decent people. Most of them are a massive pain in the ass. I mean, they just are. Most big time politicians are a huge pain in the ass. Don't you think?
I wouldn't doubt that.
Well, especially if you get to know them.
Yeah. Well, yes, exactly.
That's the more you know, the more you hate.
Because they're all drunk with power.
True. That's a very good point. But like I said, I just really wish people would stop getting so upset about each other's politics, because you and I have no influence anyway. They don't give a rat's ass about you and me.
Nobody cares how I vote.
No,
I
they
vote.
don't
Nobody
care.
cares. That's it.
Me too. Nobody cares how I vote. They didn't give. So I just don't get upset by that kind of stuff. I know some people who lean, way left, and I know some people who lean way right. Good for you. I'm happy for you. Let's continue through life. I will never. Oh, this is what they said. I don't care. Whatever. Who gives a shit? Right?
Exactly.
Because you're not going to make that big a difference. Stop getting so angry about. I think the problem I have right now is that people have gotten so angry about politics. I don't even want to hear it anymore. They just get so pissed off about it. It's like,
I know,
oh my God.
That just irritates the hell out of me.
It really does, Mike. There's no question.
Sons of bitches.
Well,
Do you want to hear some good stuff?
I'd love to hear
Change
some.
from politics. Yeah. Primetime Emmys are on Monday, and I think that there's going to be a couple things to tune into. I know you don't watch award shows, Tom, but they're doing a really nice tribute to Norman Lear. They because it is the 75th anniversary of the show, they are also going to be doing some television reunions. They've announced so far that they're going to do a television reunion of Martin as well as Ally McBeal. But I would expect other like classic nostalgic shows to make appearances. So I'm kind of excited by that. They said that it's going to be a nice, tight 3-hour show. They don't want to run over. And who is the host? Anthony Anderson is the host. They are having his mother, Doris, be the official speech enforcer. So once you make your acceptance speech, once it hits 30 seconds, she's going to be the one like wrapping you up and getting you off stage. So hopefully that'll add a little bit of lightness to the show instead of just the orchestra obnoxiously playing everybody off.
Well, it's not
You're going to listen to mom, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe for the first 30 minutes. I'm saying.
We'll
That
see
one's
what
gonna get
happens.
old real quickly.
Maybe she gets the old, cane and hooks people off. But they said all people should also expect a Matthew Perry tribute as well. They're going to give him like a little breakout moment too.
That's a sad story. So
Oh
he-
my
he
God!
was
Did
so
anyone see
subscribed.
Us Weekly cover story?
Mm-mm.
It goes into Us Weekly. Their cover story is all about Matthew Perry never being sober and just a really sad look at what his life was. He was one thing in public. Behind the scenes, he was abusive to the women he dated. He was
Really?
abusive, allegedly, abusive to his sober companion, who eventually just quit. But that he was really struggling. He could never get sober. And much of his book is basically what he wanted himself to be.
Yeah.
So it was like a projection of who he hoped to be versus the actual truth in his memoir.
Well, you know what F. Scott Fitzgerald said? He said, "Show me a comedy, I'll write you a tragedy."
Yeah, it really was. It was a true tragedy. And I think also they made one interesting point that he oftentimes had a really complicated relationship with his friends, co-stars, because they were all successful. They were all equally successful because they made the same amount of money. But he was frustrated that none of them had the same struggles that he did, and their careers continued on in some capacity while his sort of just remained stagnant because of his sobriety issues.
No question about it. Well, that's nice closing happy story. No,
Wah, wah, I know, but
Wah,
things to
wah.
look forward to at the Primetime Emmys. I think that there's going to be a lot of nostalgia and hopefully a bit of fun.
we shall talk to you tomorrow.
Yes.
We're looking forward to it.
Have a good
Goodbye,
one.
sister. Ladies and gentlemen, Kristyn Bird Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. We shall take a break, be right back, and wrap things up with the show right after this.
This is the Tom Barnard Show. Listen live on the Tom Barnard Show app or at tombernardshow.com.
You know the song Kokomo? It's supposed to be off the Florida Keys, right? Hate to break your Beach Boys bubble, but that's a fictitious place they made up for the song. Fortunately for the rest of us, the Florida Keys island chain are as real as the taxes you have to pay in Minnesota if you're a resident. Now that's a reason to move south. In addition to Florida and all of Monroe County being beautiful, the Keys from Key Largo to Key West are even more beautiful. This is Tom Barnard, part-time Florida resident myself. And if you want a second house or a new retirement home or welcome a Floridian, may I suggest you contact Matt Carlson from One Key West Realty. Matt grew up in Litchfield. He's a super real estate agent when it comes to finding your tropical island space in the Keys. He lives there and here, and Matt knows what's best in Key West to buy for your second home in Florida. Matt teamed up with fellow Minnesotan from Sartell and Alexandria, Kristyn Eklund, who's one of the top mortgage brokers in the country from Coast to Coast Mortgage. She'll get you the financing you need to buy a home in Florida or in Minnesota. Matt's part of the Lake Sotheby's International Realty Group here in Minnesota, and Kristyn, his mortgage colleague, lives and works in the Keys, so they both know the Florida Keys' new and existing homes for sale and are Minnesotan through and through. Contact them by heading to onekeywest.com. That's onekeywest.com.
Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC has a mutiny on his hands. His sales crew said they've had it brooming snow off the new Buicks and GMCs, then warm them up, move them to plow, and repark them again. He even overheard them cooking up an alternative plan, a sale.
This is crazy. Why don't we just mark them down and sell them? This is getting real old to be out on that lot in this sub-zero weather. That's right. Everyone we sell is one less to broom. I heard we're supposed to get 6 more inches tomorrow. I'm 5'6". How am I supposed to get the snow off the roof of a pickup?
I'm Jim Paul, and well, car dealers do have all kinds of crazy sales. This idea probably makes more sense than most. There's plenty of inventory, so okay, the crew has decided.
So then it's official. The We Don't Want to Broom snow sale is in full force at Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings. Snowy inventory priced real right at valleycardealers.com.
Tom Barnard is back. Every weekday, you'll hear Tommy B, Brittany Arneson. Yes, that Brittany Arneson. along with Tom's pals Kent Herbeck on Fridays, Bob Sansevier, Mike Stretch Gelfand, Tim Lammers, and from Channel 5 Eyewitness News, Chris Eggert and Kristen Burt on entertainment and pop culture. It's Tom and the crew with opinions on news, opinions on life, opinions on entertainment, and of course, opinions on other people's stupid opinions. The Tom Barnard Show is a podcast, so you can listen when you want to listen. In the car, on the way to or from work, at home, on the job site, or wherever you need your Tommy B Show fix. Hear the show on the Tom Barnard Show app in your app store, as a podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts, or see it on YouTube on the Tom Barnard Show channel.
We are back. Oh, look at this. We got Dougie shows up. Mick Sterling shows up. That show hasn't even started yet, so that's great. Whoop, I can't hear a word he's saying.
There you go. Brittany, I have a question for you.
Yeah, of course.
I was listening on the way in.
As you should.
Next time you go to a meeting, would you open with, "Hi, my name's Brittany, and if I was a billionaire, I'd take all the drugs in the world"?
Doug, I don't think you understand. The reason you get sober isn't because there's no consequences.
Okay.
Your consequences are what go, hey, maybe I need to change. If I didn't have any consequences, I would be on ketamine. I would be on all of the drugs. Have you met me? Like, absolutely.
That was hysterical. I was laughing in the car on the crosstown. I'm like, I can't believe she said that.
I need consequences in my life.
I will point out to people that might be driving to work this morning that it is an amazing thing, and you're absolutely right, because I've already got texts that it's very cool that Brittany doesn't even need a microphone.
Yeah,
she doesn't have a camera.
I have a mic. I just no camera. Yeah. I just gave Mick my spot so then it wouldn't be as chaotic when you guys switch over.
That was a joke. That's
years ago when we were in Vegas. We had dinner for the morning show, and my wife was sitting between you and Bob Sansevier.
I'm so sorry.
And afterwards, she goes, "My ears hurt."
I completely understand. That was fun.
It was fun.
No question about it. All right, Britt, what are you? So why are you off camera? There's just no other.
Yeah, I just figured I'd skip Mick all set up since then the transition to your guys' show would be easier, and we're at the tail end of our show. So I just thought, give him my seat so there isn't like you're going to sit here and then you're going to sit here.
Yeah, it works. Eddie, should we do the or Tevin, I should ask actually, should we do the break and then come back and start the actual show?
Yeah, we can get that kicked off right now.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea because we got the intro music. So Mick Sterling would like the intro music. I would think.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get that started now.
Here we go. I'm rocking out, man. They have to be paid for, aren't they?
No, the ones in this book, I think.
Okay, never mind. Tom here, and I want to discuss a partnership that has been wonderful in my life, Zero Res Carpet Care. Very good friends of mine. Nothing is better to someone with a family than having a completely clean home. Your carpet is the biggest filter in your house. If you want to talk about pet dander or foot traffic, dirt from the outside, they all eventually reside in your carpet. So, Zero Res Carpet Care. Listen, around the holidays, you need to contact ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZEROREZ. That's 952-ZERO-RES. They clean your home with their electrolyzed pH-elevated water that doesn't use chemicals or soaps that smell like a janitor's closet like other cleaning services. How about a Tom Barnard deal? Well, here it is. Get 3 rooms, Zero Resified, starting at $129, and don't forget your air ducts. Mention me, and they'll discount your air vents by $75 too. This is for the entire month, so call them right now, 952-0-RES, backward or forwarded, spells the same, or book online, ZeroResMinnesota.com. If it's available, ask for them to come to your place in the Tom Barnard named service truck. What an honor that was, by the way. Just mention me by name and get the special deal to get your home clean and your heart happy. Zero Res Carpet Care.
Is that text you're sending so important that you missed your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw and Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, Your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
You need to know a guy for your auto repairs, legal issues, banking, and more. The same goes for investment advice. You need a guy to help you be successful, someone you can trust who gets results. Well, I got a guy for you, Josh Arnold. Josh gives you straight talk, not sugar-coated advice about your financial situation. Josh has seen it all when it comes to economic and market conditions, and Josh can make sure that your retirement objectives match your investments. Do yourself a favor and call Josh now for a no-obligation 48-minute evaluation. You've got nothing to lose, and you'll get a different point of view for your investments. Call Josh at 952-925-5608. That is 952-925-5608. You'll be glad that you did. And tell him his guy, Tom, sent you.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice. Tom Barnard is a paid endorser.
You have all helped support MyPillow and their employees in these tough economic times. Mike Lindell knows this and continues to give back to listeners with great deals on his most popular products. Right now, you can save 50% on Queen and King pillows and the original My Slippers, and the MyPillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock. The proprietary technology makes them extremely absorbent, yet still provides that soft feel you look for in a towel. Set comes with 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. Regular price is $79.98, and for a limited time, you can get this 6-pack towel set for only $39.99 with promo code TOM. That's a 50% savings. So go to MyPillow.com, use promo code TOM to save 50% on the MyPillow 6-pack towel sets. That is just $39.99 for a set. This deal will not last long. Enter promo code TOM for this special and many more. See, we got the music back. That's what I like. We got the music twice today.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show with...
Say your name.
My name is Mick Sterling. I'm sorry, I didn't have my headphones on.
And I'm
late
Doug
again.
Sprint-
I'm
and
late
I-
again. What's going on here?
And I'm Doug Sprinthal.
Mike Gelfand.
Tevin Pittman.
And Andy Brand Bernard.
There you go. We got them all. Mick, it's great to see you back in studio. How you been?
Tom, it's great to be here. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's our honor. That's all I have to
Oh,
say. Except you always bring Doug with you. That's the downside.
Thanks a lot, friend.
Thanks. Thanks. You know, one thing, if I ever insult anybody openly like that, means I really like them. I would never insult anybody I didn't like. I wouldn't waste my time.
Last time I was on the show, you told me you loved me, and now you're just telling me I'm a dick.
That's why I'm in even keel. That's the whole deal.
I get it. That
Spreading it out evenly.
Spreading it out evenly. So, Mick, what's the latest?
Oh, man, there's so much going on. I'm actually here to talk about this new thing that we're doing for the 30 Days Foundation, the charity that I started 12 years ago. We're doing potentially, well, no, it will be, I think, the biggest event that we've done. It's called the Legends Breakfast. It's on Tuesday, January 30th at the Omni Viking Lakes Hotel. And it's just going to be just a basic breakfast, 8 to 9 in the morning. People start coming around 7 in the morning. And due to a rather organic beginning, we are going to have hopefully dozens of legendary Minnesota Vikings at this breakfast. Yeah. And it's my partner, Ben Utek, who is in the Andy and Bing show with me, is going to sing the national anthem. And it's going to be a big breakfast fundraiser for the 30 Days Foundation. And it's one of those events that, you know, a lot of people have gone to where you go to luncheon events or breakfast events, and it's an hour long, and you tell the story of the charity, and the people that are there are strategically there for a reason because they know that it's a fundraiser, and potentially it could be the biggest fundraiser we ever do. in an hour. And I think just the uniqueness of these legendary Viking players being there, and the big reason that they are there is because we are going to honor Dennis Ryan, the 47-year equipment manager.
Great guy
for the Vikings. He's a great guy, and so we are going to award him and honor him at that event, which is a real magnet, I think, for all of the Vikings to come, because I'm assuming their relationship with Dennis Ryan isn't like any other person they know, and it stretches for decades. So I think the possibility of even more Viking players being added to this list that are scheduled to attend is pretty good. And I think it's going to be a really unique, lovely event that is kind of sentimental, has a lot of emotional ties with big fans of the Vikings for decades. So we hope it's a great event.
Mick, I understand what it is, but can you tell people what the 30-Day Foundation is? Because I think it's really cool. When you first told me about it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I started it 12 years ago. It's a Minnesota-based charity, and we assist Minnesota families and now Western Wisconsin families as well that are in real-life financial crisis. And we do that by providing a one-time grant. But when we make the grant, it doesn't go to the person. It goes to the service provider that requires the payment. So it's things like back rent and security deposits and phone bills, Excel bills, Minnesota Power bills, CenturyLink, CenterPoint, all those really boring monthly bills. But when you start falling behind on those basic things, that's when people get in trouble. Nobody
Hang
ever
on, Tevin
starts out
just
huge.
texted me. No, you can't. It doesn't work at Zips Liquors.
Oh no! So they can't pay my bar
It's a
tab?
tough thing. It's a board decision that we did for that one. But yeah, I mean, it's just, no one ever starts out homeless or starts out in poverty. It always starts with those little things. So since 2011, because people have assisted us, we're over 110,000 grants that we've made across the state. And, it's a very simple, unique way to help people kind of stop the bleeding and get caught up again. So that's what the 30 Days Foundation does. And this event, the Legends Breakfast, it's kind of an interesting thing, because I think for the players, they may not know 30 days, but they love Dennis Ryan. And for the attendees, they know Dennis Ryan and they love the legendary Vikings. So I think the combination of the two elements is pretty attractive. And plus, it's breakfast. I mean, you're going to have breakfast on Tuesday, January 30th somewhere.
Hopefully.
You should have it here, because it's going to be a unique thing.
So the players aren't there to squeeze extra money out of the people that show up?
Well, I think the players
You call that a check?
If they wish to persuade people, that's fine. But I think it's going to be one of those things that it could potentially decades of different Viking players and Minnesota sports stars could be there, because I think it's just one of those. It has a very organic feel, and that we're honoring Dennis, I think is going to be a great thing. And to have this many new people find out about the charity is great for us. So we hope it's going to be a huge event.
So if people wanted details, where would they go?
The website is up now. It's thelegendsbreakfast.com.
Okay.
And so this is an invite event. But if you want to be an attending sponsor of this event, email me directly, and I can tell you how you can attend as an attending sponsor.
Bilski, are you listening?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bilski.
And, we're only doing 20 tables of 10. So it's not like we have 1,000 people. There's 200 people that can be at this event, as far as, being a part of the event itself. So this is our first year. I didn't want to go crazy with, 1,000 tables. It's only there's only 20 tables of 10. So this is a very limited thing. And, I've been to these events, and I'm sure all of you have at some time. It's amazing how much revenue can be generated with the right people in the room.
I'm laughing.
It's crazy.
Walzer was a sponsor for the Starkey Foundation.
Yes.
And I got to go to one of those. And, I'm not normally starstruck, but, when Bill Clinton's there and Wayne Gretzky's at the table next to you, and everywhere you look, I'm the only non-famous person in the room. but they talk about the work that they do, and they show the film of young kids in Africa hearing their mother's voice for the first time. And it's hard not to choke up. And my wife's like, we got to participate in the auction.
Yeah.
So the very first thing is you get to take 9 people on a private jet to Africa to spend 2 weeks while the doctors perform the surgery. Opening bid is $270,000. I said, honey, don't move a muscle. Stare at the floor.
Don't start the bidding.
It's like being called upon at the chemistry class.
Yeah, that's right. I was
Love that.
way over my head. It was still spectacular and very very moving work that they do, and I think that's true of all charities. I love the story of the 30-Day Foundation because you're right. It starts. If a little can help at the beginning rather than a lot at the end, you can take care of more people.
Well, it always starts like that, and that that's the thing. That's always the interesting thing about the 30 Days Foundation. It's not a visible tug at your heartstrings charity. Starkey Foundation, that is. But everybody, we have this phrase because we've all been there. Everybody has been there at a time. I always tell the thing of like, I can't even look at buttock turkey and Tombstone pizza without gagging because, when I was younger, I mean, it's kind of a fun story to tell now, but it sucked. That's all I was eating every week because I had no money.
Yeah.
It's also ironic to talk about how, nobody starts out in poverty, but the reality is that there are more children in poverty than there are adults in poverty.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
And, and that's an interesting bridge to, sometimes people ask, is the 30 Days Foundation a children's charity? And we're not per se.
Right.
On the other hand,
but
if you pay a utility bill and you have heat in the house and you have a family, well, we're kind of a children's charity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your normal thing, but it's these behind the scenes things that happen. And that's why kind of this bridge too of honoring Dennis Ryan, we're calling this the Essential Champion Award. He's just kind of this unsung guy, but without the equipment manager, the Vikings are nothing.
Yeah.
And they know that, but people don't know that. That's kind of a nice parallel of 30 days too.
One thing I'd like to mention that people might be surprised by is your Minnesota Vikings in general. I can think of maybe only a couple that are not in this club, but when you talk about the Tommy Kramers and the Chuck Foremans and the Carl Ellers and you go down the list, these are really, really good people. They are. I don't know if people know that, but there are a lot of superstars in sports are actually very nice people.
Well, and this is how it all happened, you guys. So Stu Voigt and his wife, Linda,
loves to
come and see. I produced this concert series at Chart House called the Chart House Live in Lakeville. And Stu and Linda have season passes and they come to every show.
Really?
Whether it's me, they come to dozens and dozens of shows. And about a couple of months ago, Stu said, hey, Mick, we've heard you talk about 30 days. We would be open to getting some veteran players together and walking the museum with somebody as an auction item. I said, well, that's lovely. And then I went to this breakfast fundraiser for a different charity. And I went back to Stu. I said, Stu, what do you think about this? He goes, well, I can get people. I think they'd love to come to this. So that's how this all started. And it happened very quickly. But I love the organicness of it, the organic nature of it. That tells me it's good. It's going to be a great event.
Yeah, no question. But I just didn't want people to think, oh, I'm going to be around a bunch of Vikings, but they'll be standoffish.
No.
They are not at all.
No, I don't think so either. And I'm really interested to see what happens with, we're talking about legendary Vikings and sport and legendary, Minnesota sports people potentially attending this event, but the current Vikings, I mean, I don't see, this isn't a Viking endorsed event, but people love Dennis Ryan. It's gonna get around to the players. And I'm really interested to see who may want to attend. I don't know.
Well, that sounds like it's right up Cousins' alley, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, the day after he tears his Achilles, he's at the Vikings camp out in Egan, signing autographs for kids.
No, I think he's in. He's in. And, the other tie is Blaze Credit Union, now formerly Spire, is sponsoring all of my Mick Sterling Presents shows in 2024.
I was going to ask you
Kirk
about
Cousins
that.
Is their guy.
Merge with another credit union? What was the
deal?
So
they merged with Highway Credit Union and Spire, and then they changed the name to Blaze Credit Union. So Spire sponsored my Christmas shows last year, and then it went well, so they wanted to expand it into over 200 of my shows. So I'm hoping that Kirk Cousins wants to come. If Blaze will be there, and that would be nice.
Yeah, no,
go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say quickly, if they have time, they'll come, because that's one thing about the Twins, the Vikings. You go through all the sports. The hockey players are phenomenal at doing this kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
Professional athletes, and there are a few that are not the greatest people. And I mean, Mike Gelfand has never been an athlete that he didn't like.
No, well, they may not have liked me, but I really cherished them.
Yes, I've noticed that over the years.
I mean, I have my entire house is festooned with huge Rod Carew murals.
Oh, you loved Rod. There's no question about it. That sounded sexual. Never mind.
I just love that he said festooned.
Yeah.
Festooned, yes.
Such a great word.
I believe maybe once every fiscal quarter I use that word.
That's it, fiscal quarter. Got to get it done.
Good until March.
Yep.
So the date of the event is what again?
It's Tuesday, January 30th, and it's at the Omni Viking Lakes Hotel. The entrance starts at 7:15. The event starts at 8 in the morning. It ends at 9 in the morning, and you're out the door. So it moves very fast. We know everybody's very busy, but it's just going to be a very basic, lovely continental breakfast of oatmeal and pastries and juice and coffee and all that stuff. We'll do a very quick program, tell people about what's going on with the 30 Days Foundation, honor Dennis Ryan, and then it'll just be hopefully a very big event for the 30 Days Foundation, so we can continue to help the hundreds and hundreds of requests that we get every week for assistance.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the Omni Hotel he's talking about is right next to the Vikings practice facility out there in Bloomington.
Yep.
Not Egan.
Was that Egan? Oh, that's Egan.
Yeah.
You know what? That makes sense that it would be Egan. You're absolutely right. But it's right down 494, right?
Yeah, super easy to get to.
Just east of 35E. It's a beautiful hotel. The Minnesota Auto Dealers had their annual convention there 2 years ago. It was Michelle Tafoya was the guest speaker. Talk about tying everything together.
God,
I know she didn't talk about politics, Mike. I could just, he looked at me and I'm like, I know it's running through his brain.
It's so funny that Michelle has not talked to me since the day that Cumulus let her go because she thought I fired her. You know that every time somebody gets fired, I fired them. What is that?
She's out there in X land today defending Aaron Rodgers.
She is?
And absolutely lambasting, which is the correct pronunciation.
It is, absolutely.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, Jimmy's not funny, so I can understand why.
Well, but I mean, does he really need to do any of this?
Yeah.
I know, you're right. You're absolutely right. But that gave me a very pleasant memory just now. Every time somebody gets fired, Tom fired him.
Yeah.
Yep, you're absolutely right. There's no question.
It's a heavy burden to have, Tom.
Really is. I carry it around.
I'm just waiting to get fired so I can blame you.
Well, I can get that set up for you if you want. Because, let me put it this way. If I fired people, Gelfand would have been the first person I ever fired. That's proof right there that I don't fire people.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
I would have never fired.
You'd have fired me 6 times and I would have fired you 7.
How would I have gotten through life without Mike Gelfand, though? That's the question.
Vice versa, man. Same thing.
There you go, right there. Mick, I love the fact that you do this kind of thing because you've always done this kind of thing.
Thanks. Well, I'm in a unique position to do it, and I'm glad that I'm able to do it. There's a lot of things I can't do, like significant things I can't do, like fix a car or build anything or do anything remotely manly.
Sing.
I can't sing.
Keep it up and I'll invite you to.
I'm not a strong swimmer, as they say.
Keep that up and I'll invite you to my synagogue.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Not that I have one, but
But I'm able to do this. And I think, I learned when I did Heart and Soul back in the 90s how it was interesting to introduce a concept with the charity concept with somebody like some business owner because they saw my band perform.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different introduction to somebody than just a cold introduction. and it's a very warm thing. They had fun, so they're going to listen to me maybe a little bit more than someone else just presenting something cold.
Well, I told you this when we were talking on the phone the other day. It says, Mick, if you weren't such a good singer, you'd make a hell of a salesman.
Well, I believe in this charity. I know what it does. And I know that it can, as simple as it is, I was stunned that no one had thought of it in this sense. And even when you pay somebody's phone bill for $50 or $80, it changes the trajectory for people psychologically and financially. Just one thing.
And a lot of times it's car repair. Sure, because
car repairs a lot of that.
Don't have much money. You got some 25-year-old pile of rocks, and you need it to get to work, and then suddenly you can't get to work. Things can go downhill fast.
They really can. I mean, with the 30 Days Foundation, our top three are rent, security deposits, and utility bills. And we're doing a lot of recovery and sober house deposits, $125, $100 just to get people in to hopefully start healing. So that's like 90% of our grants are those three things.
I just like the fact that this even goes on, that there's a connection between you and Doug, and then you've come on the show many, many times now. Yeah. It's always great having you on the show. Then there's a connection to the Vikings, and it's how communities are supposed to work.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just love how this thing just happened. It happened so naturally.
Yep.
In such a great space with Stu and Linda Voigt, and they're so kind, and they were just so generous. And my partner, John Scott, from Mick Sterling Presents, it's just been such a great conduit to make all these connections with the Omni Viking Lake Hotel. And it's just, I think it has the elements, it has all the ingredients to be a very, very unique and beautiful event that I think people will certainly remember. This just doesn't happen like this.
No, very, very true. Actually, you got me kind of sad today because I'm going through all the great Vikings throughout history. They're no longer with us. So thanks for that, Nick.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
No, seriously, Chris Dolman, you're on the list of names of guys who are not around anymore. I don't know that people know this because I don't hear other people talking about it much. But our professional athletes in general, other than Gelfand's favorites, are really good people. They make a ton of money. They're very popular. They're very famous, but they're just regular. Well, I met Carl Eller standing behind him in a line at a bank, and he turned around and he said, "Hey, how you doing today?" I said, "Not too bad, Carl." He goes, "I just want to make sure that I'm not upsetting you by taking too much time up here." Carl's about a foot taller than me, and his shoulders about the size of a Buick. So that's just how nice a guy he is. He would just engage people. Yeah, that's what I love about that stuff.
Well, one of the nicest, most just like almost like an everyday guy, Vikings player who I had a chance to interview was Alan Page. I couldn't believe just what a down-to-earth guy he was, because he's a gifted scholar and all that, but he was playing for the Bears at the time.
Oh.
And that was in the period when he weighed like 160 pounds.
Right.
Defensive end. Yeah. But what a nice guy.
Yeah, Alan's a very, very smart man. People don't know that Alan's as smart as he is.
Oh, yeah.
Very bright guy, and I probably wouldn't want to piss him off either. But yeah, he started running with his wife apparently, or something like that, and he couldn't give it up, and he kept dropping weight and dropping weight, and the team's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, but the Bears still wanted him at 160 pounds. He was probably actually about 180.
He was not much more than that. That is true.
No. When I saw him in the locker room, I couldn't believe it. He just looked like my accountant, basically, except without the gut.
Oh, that's nice. Mick, you get a lot of television stations, radio stations, podcasts, and they're reaching out to you going, "Hey, we'd love to have you come on and talk about this because it's a great thing."
Well, you're the first. This thing has just happened. So your podcast is the first time that I've announced it, in any kind of media situation. And I'm hoping that people get behind it. I think it's pretty unique. I mean, right now, John Randall, Scott Studwell, Brooks Bollinger, Stu Voigt, Lurtzema, Paul Krause, Chuck Foreman, Mark Mullaney, Dave Osborne, Leo Lewis, Ezra Tualo, and there's going to be more. And I really think it's going to be a lovely thing.
Those are all great guys, by the
Great
way.
guys.
Some of them I had a lot of contact with. Others I just met once or twice. But every one of them, there were very, very few of those guys that a little too edgy to talk to people. But it doesn't happen very often. I just love the fact too, and that's one thing because I love to tease Minnesotans about how weird they are. Because people from Minnesota, we are weird. There's no doubt about that. But they're also very giving people from what I've seen in my lifetime, that if you have an event like this, it's going to get attended. Some people, famous people like the Minnesota Vikings, going to show up and people are going to have a great time. I really like that about Minnesota.
Yeah.
You know, you should have Paul Allen there. And then right in the middle of the breakfast, he can say, "Oh, no."
Is he big on that?
I
Well,
want that
yeah.
to happen
Yeah,
so
he
badly
tends
right
to.
now. I just want that to happen so badly right now.
Oh, no. So you're going to have like other luminaries like, Doug Sprinthal. Is he
No,
going to be?
I'm not going.
Why not?
Doug's actually the keynote speaker.
Yeah, right.
That's what I thought. What sport are you guys in again? I'm
Yeah.
Doug Sprinthal.
Yeah.
It's some sport. I've never heard of it.
Easy.
No, Mick, when on January 30th, when you get all these Vikings legends in the room, I need you to just ask if anybody has a little juice left in the tank, because the current team needs a little help. So if we could maybe get
That was a tough year.
yeah, if we
That
get
was
a few of
that
them
was
to
a
help
very
out,
tough
we'd
year.
appreciate it.
Yeah, that was a vexing. The word vexing, I love. It's a vexing year. It's vexing.
Well, I have a question for all of you. How do you pick 4 horrible quarterbacks for the same team? How is that even possible?
Wait, my frustration, and I've lived in Minnesota since 1970, but I'm not from here. We're sports fans on the planet. And here's my example.
Okay.
Cousins goes down. He's having a great run. I mean, he's playing lights
Yeah,
out.
absolutely.
And we get the Pasternaut, and he has 2 good halves, and they're ready to throw Cousins on the next train to Georgia. And then he has a shitty half, and they're like, dump this guy.
Oh, I know.
It's just
I know.
the patience of a 4-year-old, you guys. Come
Yeah,
on.
It's so funny you said that.
Cousins did start out 1-4.
I know.
To be
That's
fair
right.
about it, but now, of course, all the local columnists, because this is what columnists do, right? Because they're starving for a column idea. There's really not that much going on in this market.
Yeah.
So every single columnist, it doesn't matter, digital, newspaper, they're all writing columns saying, "Get rid of Cousins, don't sign him again." Well, we saw what can happen with and this is sort of a Minnesota thing. So this clown Mullins throws 4 interceptions, right? After the game, he tells the media that he's a really solid NFL quarterback.
Well, they are completions.
Technically, yeah,
somebody
the ball
did
into
catch
the
it.
ground,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trevor in the chat says that the team doesn't have anything going on this weekend, so a lot should be able to make it.
Oh, there's a
Lord.
But it's
Mick, you've been doing a lot of music.
I have been, thankfully.
You've
Yeah,
been
we
a
just did.
busy bee.
Yeah, my wife Kate and I just did 38 shows in 45 days for Christmas shows between November 15th and December 31st, and it was a great run.
I was down at the Chart House to see the Peter Bourne Christmas
Oh,
explosion.
you go to Peter's
Yeah, it
thing?
was
Yeah,
funny.
the office party.
In fact, I talked to him last week. It goes, I'm booked another show, and I want you and Sarah to be in the band. It's going to be a prom night.
Yeah.
Sometime in May. I'm like, oh, and so we started throwing ideas back and forth. And
Yeah.
He's completely crazy.
Oh yeah, no, I love Peter. Peter's a dear friend of mine, and he's got my back. And he's the sound tech there at Chart House Live, which is very nice.
Yeah.
And
room sounds good.
It's
Really
a great
does.
sounding room.
Yeah.
It's a good room, and it's never been done in that part of town before. So it's pretty nice.
I have to tell you a funny story about meeting your wife. Is Peter Bourne ties into this. So I don't know if everybody knows this, but Peter worked at KQ back in the 90s as an intern and then full time, and we kind of all got to know each other because the world revolves around Mike Gelfand and Tom. Let's all face it.
Oh, yeah.
So Peter, in addition to being a musician, is a boater and has this 70-foot-long houseboat with a recording studio on the 3rd floor. And he goes down to Red Wing every year. And Sarah, my wife, and I usually play with him on the 3rd of July. Well, on the 4th, he conned the city of Red Wing into letting him tie this monstrous boat up to the city levee where the cruise ships come in.
Yep.
And he's got all these bands lined up. And I'm up with him at 7 a.m. getting the boat ready, and we have to move it. And it's just kind of a lot of work. And so we're sitting there, and Peter's got, there's probably what, 200 or 300 people there. It wasn't super crowded, but a pretty good turnout for middle of the day on the 4th of July. And he's teaching the audience how to play drums on donated Homer buckets, these big plastic things.
Them Home Depot.
And then he gets has a brass band that's doing American patriotic songs, Anchors Away, and all this stuff, and people are drumming along. And he's got some local 15-year-old kid playing up on the top deck. And then the height of the show is, and Mick and some of Peter's friends and some of Mick's friends put together a show for about an hour and a half. So Sarah and I are sitting down below listening because it's hot, and that's where the beer was.
Yes,
I'll be honest.
Yes,
there you go.
And Mick's wife Kate's come over and introduces herself. Suddenly, she and Sarah are talking, and they're clicking right away and gathering up a storm. And Kate goes, "Come on, let's go sing with Mick. It'll be really fun." And she turns to me and goes, "Watch the dog." The dog was not happy that Mom was gone.
No, Lulu was not happy.
But it was it was such a fun day.
Yeah, it was.
It really was just fabulous.
It was.
I have a question for you. Didn't he dig that boat out of the bottom of the river?
Well, close. It had sunk. It was an insurance fraud thing, and it sat kind of half submerged up in Hudson for a while, and then they dragged it down to La Crosse, which was where the boat had been originally manufactured. There was a company there that's out of business called Skipper Liner. And they kept trying to sell it, and I think they paid something. This boat had been worth $2 million when it was new, and I think he bought it for like 10 grand or something.
Yeah, it sounded like it was kind of a boat of debauchery.
Oh God,
it had some things happen on that boat.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think it was a lot of nautical skill, but he and his wife have rebuilt the thing. Active recording studio. They're planning river trips next year, going up and down the Mississippi, doing basically would be kind of like vacation Bible school for musicians. A lot of church groups and concerts and stuff.
A lot of music workshops and stuff. And Kate and I got married on that boat.
Oh, did you really?
We got married on the boat.
There you go.
It's beautiful.
But I mean, what a deal that is. A $2 million boat, you buy it for $10,000.
Well, the story is long, so it was it wasn't even running when they bought it, and it was Peter is also a great salesman. I can see why the two of you were friends.
Yes,
I mean,
he is.
Jesus, watch your wallet if they're both in the same room. But Peter he would stumble across the right people to do the right thing at the right time. To rewire the boat because it had been underwater. He's getting bids for like $150,000. He meets some guy and he goes, "I tell you what, I'm an electrician. You buy all the parts in a case of Mountain Dew. I'll wire it up for you."
Ooh,
okay.
Yeah, it's a beautiful project. I mean, I found doing charity stuff, people really want to be around positive things.
Yeah,
if they're presented an opportunity to be a part of something positive, a lot of people will jump at it. They will.
My favorite orbiting charity of his charity is the Mikes Across America group. Those guys are crazy. It's a charity staffed entirely by people named Mike.
I'm not in.
Well, you could be.
Okay. Well, maybe I am then.
I don't know yet.
I don't think I want to join a group that would have me, though, as a member.
All right, Groucho.
Plus, I can just see you with a skipper hat on a boat anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it just wouldn't play right.
You just don't see it. It's just whatever.
Plus, people would probably accuse me of, bumming out the room. I don't know why people always do that.
I don't know what you're saying.
I don't either.
It's all been such a thrill and a joy to be with.
And let's face it, there are too many mics as it is.
I would agree. When I go in my phone and I look for Mike at just like 9 pages,
Yeah.
like, not him. Shoot, he's dead. I got to take him
Too
out.
many mics.
Are you doing this to me? Because now I got to look at my phone for Mike's.
Go ahead and look.
I can't
Mike's
believe
Across
you did this.
America. That's the name of it.
Mike's Across America. I'm almost there.
My buddy Steve, Steve Gordon.
Sure.
Yeah, great salesman.
Oh, he's a great guy.
And he was one of the. I mean, he worked for which agency was it again? The big one.
Yeah.
Fallon? No, not Fallon.
Was
Fallon was the most sought after.
Campbell
one.
Methuen.
Campbell
Methuen,
Methuen
I
is
think
what
it
he
was,
worked
yeah.
for. And he was like, executive vice president or whatever. So, like any great salesman, he had over 5,000 names in his phone directory. And I said, "That's fantastic." I said, "How many are dead?" And he said, "I don't know, maybe 300-400. I don't know. There is that question. It's sort of like, when do you throw Christmas cards out? Like, when do you delete? And because I have some friends, like my buddy Bobby Barghini, who died on December 6th.
Great guy. Great guy.
I can't erase him from my directory.
Nope. I got, it's funny, when I picked up my phone, started scrolling through it, I saw about probably 25 dead people I still have on my call list. The Mikes, there's two Michaels, by the way. Michael Eberts, who is Pat Eberts, who just died, twin brother, right? Michael Bryant. So those are the two Mikes. But Michaels, excuse me, but the Mikes, I got Mike and Susan Neighbors, Mike Bilski, Mike Gelfand, Mike Jennings, Mike Lindell, Mike McVeigh, Mike Molina. I cannot read all these. There have to be 50 Mikes in here.
Yeah, I got about that many too.
That's why I always used M. Howard Gelfand as my byline.
I remember that.
I worked for the Minneapolis Tribune because I figured, at least people wouldn't. I wouldn't get so many phone calls from angry readers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one day I pick up the phone. In those days, you just picked up the phone. It was a totally different era. We're talking about the 70s now.
Yes.
And a guy says, "Are you that Mike Gelfand who writes for that communist rag?" And I said, "Oh no, I'm really not." He said, "Wait a minute. So you're not Mike Gelfand?" I said, "No." And then he paused. He didn't know what to say. And then after a pause, he said, "Well, did you see that piece of shit he wrote today in the paper?" I said, "No, I don't subscribe."
I don't know what you're talking about. That never. One of my favorite Mike Gelfand stories is another guy that's all pissed off, but doesn't know what he's talking about because he did write as M. Howard Gelfand, and a guy this is right when I met you, as a matter of fact. Guy called up to bitch at Mick Howard Gelfano.
Yeah. Well, that thing all started with like the first week I was at the paper, and one of the typesetters. This was in the days when you had typesetters, right? Not long after that, you just wrote your own byline in, and then it automatically would just appear in print, right? But in those days, it had to be typed in from the linotype machine, which was hot metal. And so this guy, he'd never heard of me. And he probably had been at the Little Wagon and had a few drinks,
Little Wagon.
I love the Little Wagon behind the Star Tribune, baby.
We got to stop.
Great place.
Every time the four of us get together, it turns into bars I got drunk in the early 70s.
Right. Well, Robert, of course, it was most famous for being the home away from home and the desk away from his desk of Robert T. Smith, the columnist, who wrote all these great, sort of sob sister type columns, we used to call them. And he would all he would do when everyone else was at their desk all day, he was just drinking at the Little Wagon, and people would come up to him and say, "I got a column for you, Smitty."
What a great job.
Yeah. So this guy, the linotype guy, he wasn't in his great form right then. And so he kind of missed out, and he's the guy who named me McHoward Gelfand. And everybody had such a good laugh, they just kept it in there for the home edition.
Sounds like a Jagger hotel alias.
Yeah.
Mick Howard Gelfano, Mick Jagger. Yeah, I suppose that's probably true.
Right, because everybody looked at me and they said, "Oh, he's Scottish."
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, no question about that. These are wonderful times, aren't they? I think particularly at this time, Mick Sterling, a great time to do what you're doing, and you've been doing for years now.
Thanks.
I have a very difficult time out on the street watching TV or whatever. Everybody is so pissed off right now, and everybody's so mean right now. And it's, I suppose, politics that are driving it. But my God, everybody's pissed off right now. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's you really have to use your intelligence to know what to say to who, when.
That's true.
Yeah.
I found in my life that there are times that you can divulge and times that you can't divulge.
Right.
And, you just have to kind of know the landscape, and it's definitely an interesting time for communication.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on my don't ask, don't tell list.
Yeah.
But what I find too is that I just think, being so literal, people are so literal. there's no gray area of, well, maybe you were kidding, but you said that. Well, I understand you said that, but I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
Didn't you understand that I was joking? It's like, it seems so obvious that you're joking, but everyone's so tight right now that they can take it as a literal thing, and it's completely out of context.
Yeah, irony is lost right now.
Speaking of joking, did your greeting card business ever go anywhere?
Harshables? Yeah, it's still there. It's just kind of floating around. It kind of a little bit stagnant, but it's. I
think the first time he was in, and
it's
he
funny
made
stuff.
all these greeting cards.
They were great
that you
cards.
would send to your friends. It's like two guys sitting on a Volkswagen bus. One's got his arm around the other guy, and the caption is, "I really fucking hate you right now."
Yeah.
Those are funny. Harshables are funny.
Yeah.
Oh, Harshables, exactly.
I'm probably the only guy who ever gets mean fortune cookies.
The Chinese hate you, Mike.
They really do. It's true. And it's like you expect, reading is the gateway to heaven, things like that, right? Yeah. Mine says, like, you better watch out for that truck tomorrow.
I'm coming after you, Buster.
I don't know where they find these.
Is it true back in the day that the Chinese culture had no idea what the hell a fortune cookie even was?
Yeah, that's an American invention.
It's an American invention.
Not Chinese at all.
Yeah.
Like, what
As
are you
is chop suey? That's not Chinese food. It was started by the Celery Growers Association of California.
But this is one reason why, I mean, seriously, I like fortune cookies because sometimes it'll be the only good news I get all week.
Well, that's true. It's a fact.
You've been up writing this week.
This is just me. This is who I am. If I had been writing for Jo Koy, he would have been a smash.
Oh, here we don't have to Jo Koy.
I heard you guys talking about it when I was driving here.
Yeah, it was one of those things that everybody sort of. I think people like that controversy.
I've avoided.
It seems that way.
I've avoided the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing. I'm like, I don't care about either one of these cats. I don't even want to know what's going on.
Yeah,
right,
I'm the same way.
I didn't watch it, but I heard about the Golden Globe, and it just proves again how difficult being a stand-up comic is. I mean, it's the toughest entertainment job.
Gig, yeah.
I think
in the
Ricky
world.
Gervais is the only person who should ever be allowed to host those shows because he's brutal and he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care.
Well, it's a tough gig because you have to be somewhere between a roast and a celebration of life. And, and you go either way, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. That is very hard. That's why I don't get invited to host many functions like that.
No.
Well, fly up for the 30-day thing. I'm sure Mick could find you a spot.
We can do that.
30-day.
Yeah.
I'm going to go see Sebastian Maniscalco this weekend.
Oh, where's he?
Vegas, at the Wynn.
Is it the Wynn in Vegas?
For a couple of days. Yeah. So we're going to go. She got that for me for Christmas, and it's very, very exciting because he's been on your show many times, hasn't he?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, nobody's hotter than Sebastian Maniscalco.
He's hot right now.
He did something for me one time, and he probably doesn't even remember doing it, but I went in, it was at North Memorial Hospital to visit a friend in there, wasn't doing too well. And the woman at the front desk, very pleasant woman. And I looked down at the desktop and her name was like Louise Maniscalco. And I said, God, you know Sebastian? She goes, who? And I said, Sebastian Maniscalco. She goes, who's that? I said, let me get back to you. I called Sebastian Maniscalco and I said, would you do me a favor and autograph a book? I mean, I'll pay for the book. And he goes, don't worry about that. He did this long dissertation on the front page about how great it is to be a Maniscalco. And I want to know all Maniscalcos. It was just a very sweet moment for this. This woman had never even heard of him. Wow. And then the last time I went in there, she was still all excited. Oh, Tom, that book is the greatest of all time. I'm sure we're related. Never heard of him, but other than that,
he's terrific. I think he's one of the best.
He's very, very smart. And there's no downside to him. It just, he comes at you and an hour later he walks off stage. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. So Dougie, what have you been up to lately?
I don't want to talk about it. My life sucks.
Wow, here we go.
No, I'm still job hunting. It is the worst job I've ever had.
You look like you're dressed for a big job interview.
Pot to
Either
kettle.
that or you're painting your garage.
Pot to kettle.
It's 10 degrees outside.
I know.
This
Me
is a
saying that.
podcast. Lolook around. Well, Mick is
I'm dressed
nicely
up. I
attired.
got things going.
Devin he's okay, but
I'm
he's still
moving around.
business casual.
Right.
So you're not willing to just step aside now. You're still looking for that
I don't
8-figure sum.
I don't. Well, yeah, right. Well, it depends on where you put the period.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were what is it? You were the king of the car business.
Things happen.
I don't think you want to bring this up, Mike,
Oh, I'm
because you're gonna get me all pissed off.
All
Way
right.
to go.
Yeah,
I know.
Now the good news is I've had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of more time to play.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my wife and I and a really good friend of ours, he's the guy that introduced me to Sarah 25 years ago. Every summer we do a trio sing-along thing down at the marina on the docks, and it goes on for 6 hours. And about a month ago, I said, why don't we call ourselves the Tiki Trio and do this in bars and get paid for it? People would totally dig it. So we're doing our first show at the Spiral Brewery on Friday.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is tomorrow from 7 to 10. So if you're in the Hastings area or in the 7-county mosquito control district, just take a cab and head on down. So we're looking forward to that. And I've been looking forward to it all month, because when you don't have much to do, you look for those things that break up your life a little bit and the sheer monotony of waiting for the phone to ring. So a week ago, and I also play with this guy in a Lutheran church youth service every Wednesday. A week ago, he comes in and he's got a mask on and he's just terrible. And it turns out he's got COVID. I'm like,
Oh,
shit.
that's great.
Oh,
Well, he got over it and he tested negative Tuesday, so we'll be fine.
So if you like, if you want to sell my car for me, I'd give you 10%.
Okay.
I
don't know if I could still do it. I'll take a shot.
The other day, I went to the bank. It was actually last week. I went to the bank and I took out $100 in cash. Now these days, $100 in cash is like 10 years worth, right?
I know. I've got probably $150 in my wallet. It's been there since last summer. I never even used it.
And so I put it in my glove compartment, when I went into the grocery store. Forgot all about it. And then yesterday, I remembered that I'd put that in there. And I got into my car, and I couldn't decide whether to take the money out or not, because with the money in there, my car was worth twice as much as it had been before.
The hundo in there?
Yeah, hundo, right, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know, it's still there, but I may have to remove it in the next few days.
Now, one tip off for you guys. I don't know if you know this or not, but the cash, there's no interest payment. You use the card, there's interest. You see what I'm saying?
Well, not if you pay it every month.
No, you still have to pay a little dookie, don't you?
You don't? Uh-uh.
No,
as long as you pay it off.
It's the retailer.
The retailer
who has to
pays the money.
Pay the juice.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
as long as you go to zero balance every month, they don't cost you anything.
No.
So they don't even charge. I don't use a lot of credit card. Well, I use some, but not a lot. But they don't just tally it up from day 1 to day 30. There's no interest at all.
If you don't pay the balance off, it starts accruing from when you made the purchase. But if you pay down to a zero balance every, whenever it's due.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the changes, not to get too political, that it seemed like a minor thing, but I think it was either Biden or Obama made it so once they told you when your payments were due, they couldn't move it around. Remember credit card companies used to be due on, well, it'd be the 2nd, now it's the 8th. And it's like, can't we just pick a day?
Yeah.
And for once, the government made kind of a rational decision, said, thou must pick a day.
I think there are credit cards that have like a monthly fee, though.
Like
absolutely. Those
Well,
ones.
no, they have some have annual fees, like
Annual fee, there you go.
Delta Gold card, so you have to pay for baggage. That's like $100 a year, but most credit cards are free.
There's one person in my life that pays their credit card off every month. They're always at flat. Well, now I know too.
Yeah.
That's how we use I use my credit card as a debit card. I just I pay it off, and then because that way you get a lot more points.
Yeah, you get points, and so they actually pay me to use a credit card.
Yeah. If you use it right, you do make money using a credit card, but you really have to set that auto pay
with
up.
credit cards.
Yeah. God, we get a new podcast going. How to be an adult.
How to be an adult. I wouldn't know.
There's only going to be 2 episodes.
I'm just a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill.
We only got 5 minutes left, so you got some important stuff to talk about. What do you got?
How are you? I haven't really talked to you since Pat passed away. How's life in Florida?
Well, things are going well, except for I've lost like 3 people in the last month. That's a real thrill. And,
Yeah,
I like,
same thing here. It's just something about this year, maybe. I don't know.
I've learned this from my wife, I've told everybody, who works at a Catholic church, does a lot of funeral singing. A lot of people die between Thanksgiving and about the end of January. It goes
really
way up every year. Yep.
Really?
Her phone will ring. She goes, well, we got 3 more this week. Oh, there's another one.
And there is a huge, globally, it's not just here, but there's a huge increase in COVID deaths right now.
What? From the vaccine?
Well, because this is the backlash after the holidays.
Yeah, I suppose everybody getting
Huge
together.
Gatherings and there's always, there's always one person who's a spreader. Let's be honest about it, which is why I haven't seen any of my relatives in 4 years.
You think that's the reason? We've
Well-
only had COVID for 2.
Yeah, for a rude awakening.
I have an
Well-
alternate theory cooking in my head.
I thought the reason they weren't inviting me was because they didn't want me to get sick.
Yes, that's what it is, I'm sure.
I think it's because they all got sick of you.
Yeah.
There's a possibility.
They're worried about polio. That's probably it.
Hey, too close to home.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my God, Doug, way to go.
What?
My brother had polio.
I didn't.
Yeah. You didn't know that?
I didn't know that either.
Why don't you say something negative about Jews now, Doug? Go.
No,
Well, I will tell you, I was watching Jiminy
Glick? Jiminy
Yeah.
Glick?
I got into a series, and I watched
The
the
Mel
interview
Brooks
with
one?
Mel Brooks, and he goes,
Greatest.
"So what's your beef with the Nazis?"
I know.
He was so funny.
Yeah, just thinking nowadays when someone say that, they're not kidding.
No, I know. Mel Brooks, I thought he was going to pee his pants. He was laughing so hard.
He's phenomenal. Did you ever read his book? Mel Brooks just put out a book a couple of years ago, I think it was.
No.
Well, I'm glad he finally got a effing Lifetime Achievement Award. I mean, he's only 92.
Yeah. He's 97.
97. What were they waiting for?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
They should have given it to him 5 minutes after the 2,000-year-old man debut.
Yeah, or anything.
That's genius.
Maybe the producers or anything, you know.
Well, how about Blazing Saddles? It's the one show. That's the
Good
one
one,
movie.
maybe?
Nobody could touch Blazing Saddles because it was Mel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It was
true.
amazing.
Brilliantly funny movie. There's no question about
Except for the
What?
last 20 minutes.
You don't like the Dom DeLuise part?
The beating up the gay chorus line in the canteen in Hollywood. I'm like, this is stupid.
Even then it was.
Yeah.
Oh, you big babies.
But the first 2/3 is awesome.
Well, now Mel Brooks did that a lot. It's like he just broke the fourth wall to such a degree that it's like, okay, we get it. Thank you.
Yeah.
He did do it a lot. Well, thanks for coming in, fellas, today. And Mick, give me the stats again.
So Tuesday, January 30th, the Legends Breakfast, a big breakfast fundraiser for the 30 Days Foundation with dozens and hopefully dozens of legendary Vikings at this event, the Omni Viking Lake Hotel, the legendsbreakfast.com. You can see the players that are going to be there already that are scheduled to be there, and there'll be more. And it's going to be an amazing, amazing event to raise funds for the 30 Days Foundation.
Fly up, Tom. You got to be tired of sitting on the beach hanging out with your gorgeous wife. You want to come up in Minnesota in the end of January?
I don't know if you've heard about El Nino, but the weather has not been great in the entire United States.
Oh, that's right. You guys, you got pounded, didn't you?
Things took kind of a bad turn all of a sudden.
Yeah, wasn't it like 40 degrees in LA or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 40 degrees in Los Angeles.
It's pretty cold.
We're only going to have like 4 or 5 days when it won't get above 0.
Yeah, that's about right. But the great thing about that is that it's already January, 11th?
Yeah.
And so you only got about another 6-7 weeks with any chance at the bad stuff. And
I love December.
Yeah.
December was fantastic for me.
And
I loved it.
And now I can stay out until almost 5 p.m.
Really? You gotten that far, huh?
Yeah, it's what it's like. Wonderful. Yeah.
All right. If anybody's listening out there, Wally McCarthy, if you're listening, Doug needs a job.
Well, he's dead.
I know he is. That's why I brought up his name.
Well, Holly, yeah.
We summoned the Phantom of Wally.
The Phantom of Wally. And I was going to call him Wally McCartney, but I decided that'd be kind of insulting.
You know what you should
Who?
do?
To
Because
who?
I know you're not going to fly up here. But so it's January 30th. So It's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So Thursday was the 1st. Yeah. Why don't you have Mick
Yes.
on the 1st and you can report in on the fundraiser?
Nothing wrong with that.
You do that.
I bet there's
That'd be great.
there should be some stories to tell, and if
Yeah.
not, you're creative enough to make something
I'll
up.
figure something.
Well, you got 19 days, correct? You said
Yep.
it's the 30th, 19 days until the event. We'd love to have you back on. And Doug, you got to come back in with them. So
I'm sure I'll be working by then, making billions.
that's
of
what I'm
them.
thinking.
I'm going to be Tevin's manager.
There we go.
Good idea.
See you later, Tommy.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good
All
day.
right. Bye-bye.